Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Kinley to the plate. Hines drives it high and deep to left field. Well hit and way out of here into the second deck. Reese Hines unloads with his first big league home run.
3-1 pitch coming up, and that's hit sharply to left field. Did he get it? High, over the wall, over the bullpen. Big fly, Paul Goldschmidt. His 12th of the year, leadoff home run here in the fourth, and it's 2-0 Cardinals.
3-2, the count on Ken of the pitch. Swinging the ground ball softly to short, under the glove of Rocchio. Rogers in to score, and the Tigers take a 1-0 lead in the eighth.
He swings and drills one to right. This one well hit. Is it fair? It is fair and gone. 116.7 off the bat. And just like that, we're tied at 5.
2 outs, nobody on.
Here's Palacios, and he takes down and then gets away from Terens. Here comes Gonzalez to score. 6-2 Pirates.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. You can also catch us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts as well. What's up, DB?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
We're just struggling with the camera a little bit this morning.
I mean, what else do we do?
I mean, you know, we got to do what we do.
I mean, at least we're consistent. I am anyway. I don't know what the heck you're doing, but
I'm just out here.
That makes two of us.
I'm just out here doing it.
And Shane is he's part of that deal too. This is see, I'm not a so the problem is I'm not a FaceTime HD camera guy.
Okay.
I'm is it Logitech or Logitech or
Logitech, I think.
Or whatever, that would be logical, but I like that view better.
Yeah. It's a little further away.
Yeah, and it's like
it's not the weird like
whoever does the angle for bang bites, like I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know why it has to be that angle.
I don't know.
It's pretty dumb, but I mean, whatever. So, you gave, what do you call this thing again?
I think it's just an adapter. It might be a dongle.
Yeah, whatever. So I try to memorize which, I'm not even going to say it. I try to remember which
side of the adapter the cords go in.
Yeah. It's going to condense it, and I'm not getting that cut out and replayed later on. Just trying to remember which thing goes in which thing. So my camera choice comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently my memory sucks because I feel like I have to rehearse it every day. And I read USB 1, and it like sometimes it's my friend, sometimes it's not.
You know, it might be part of it might
see. It's not even giving me the option to go to the other camera.
It's not reading it at all.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
Same thing you do every day. Get better. I'll try to get better.
You know, just 1% every day.
Like WTH. I'm just going to start the whole thing over.
I
so you gave Sasha still 708 the over under to text me to get on camera?
Well, you can't say it because now she's going to hear her.
Oh, well, she might be asleep.
No, I don't think so.
Why? She's human, ain't she?
I mean, she's a little bit like you. I don't think she sleeps much.
Wasn't too bad last night.
Yeah, a little better. Getting there?
Yeah, for some reason I watched Braves win in extras.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm just going to restart the old computer.
We'll give it a go. It's all right.
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean,
nobody wants to see me anyway.
You watch any?
I don't want to see me.
You watch any of the Fritz Zverev match yesterday?
Yeah, he's let me hear my throat.
Oh, you think he choked a little bit? Yeah.
I mean, it's better than that.
Fritz played good though.
Yeah,
he played well.
Putting on the Fritz. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I'm ready for see your boy today since you're all in on center.
Well, when am I all in on center? What did I do that?
I don't know. It's like every other day. Hey, man, yeah, and watch the center match. I'm like, Ravi, here for being infatuated with a center.
No, it's because he plays every other day, and I'm watching most of the matches.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh, It's a time slot
It's
thing.
like, yeah.
Oh, it just seemed like
Like,
every other day. You mean it is every other day?
Yeah, they play every other day.
Shane, if you don't want me to lose my mind, I'll give you about 90 seconds to pull those double doors shut when you get a chance.
Let's go, baby.
Is that me making fun of the dude?
It sounds like it.
Oh, man.
I don't even recognize.
Shane, is
what
that
we're
me?
doing.
Yeah, I don't think he's very happy.
I don't even recognize what we're.
That's the Southern Vibes guy on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
And it's absolute free booty. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Bust the chicken thighs on down.
Shane, he meant those doors.
Hit it with the W sauce. I like that dude.
That dude's the worst.
Oh my god.
Like the worst.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is. He's so annoying.
It's kind of funny.
I don't understand like the stuff that you'll put up with on TikTok to get a recipe. Like, just Google.
I don't
this,
always
right?
watch with volume though.
Why don't you? You're not. How are you not watching with volume?
Because sometimes I don't need to.
You just count on the captions.
Well, it's
or
not
what?
like I need them to tell me how to cut up a chicken thigh or to season it. Like a lot of, if you're good,
Yeah.
you're not one of those. Oh, look at the recipe in the caption. You just flash it on the screen.
So you just like do the screenshot and then.
Yeah, and I'm good. I don't need for you to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times
but
I
then why do you-
tweak anyway.
But then why do you need for me to hear the audio? if
Because
you're
I
not
just
even
want you to
listening
see
the
how
audio?
funny he is.
He's
Let's
not
go,
funny. It's
baby.
annoying.
God, I sound just like that dude. Okay. No, I don't know what I was doing there, but
I don't.
that's not me.
It almost sounds like he's.
You must have cut some. You must have saved some stuff when I was jacking around. Because oh yeah,
That one's definitely you.
now he's acting like an idiot. Okay, I mean that's cool. I mean I definitely see what we're on, but I don't even know where he's getting this stuff.
I don't.
It's because I want a mustache like that. That's all. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I just can't grow facial hair like that. I think it's the segment. I think it's the parts in between the end of the show and whenever I get motivated to do Benning Bites. Because I just talk to him crazy.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
go, baby.
I really don't remember that happening on air.
Me neither.
To be fair, though, a lot of things that happen on air just feel like a fever dream, and I don't really.
Who?
A fever dream.
What are those?
It's like when you get I've never had one, but it's like when you have a really high temperature and you start hallucinating. That's what a fever dream is.
That's some MC Shanaman type stuff.
What?
Shilaman.
What?
Shyamalan. What's the producer that makes the bad movies?
You mean
M. Night Shyamalan?
You mean not Charlemagne?
M. Night?
Yes.
You mean Chaminade, like the school that beat Virginia?
No.
I'm not gonna help you. I know what it is. I'm just not
Shane,
gonna help
M.
you.
Night Shyamalan.
Nope.
Shamalama Ding Dong?
Oh my God.
You guys are like borderline racist right now.
What do you mean? Oh.
Yes.
Oh. All right. Why don't you say it for me then?
M. Night Shyamalan.
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 Okay. Why'd you do the little finger thing?
Shyamalan.
It's kind of like the lips. Stop it.
Very gay, say.
Okay. All right.
What was I pronouncing that way with the lips?
I don't know,
even
but
remember.
it was driving me up the wall.
You were so mad about
Well,
it.
it just looked ridiculous.
Oh, I remember what it was.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
Uruguay.
Ridiculous.
I'm gonna get Amazing Daniel on you.
I'm working on pronouncing it correctly. I don't know.
WTH.
What's happening.
I have no idea. What is this?
I don't know. I can't read what it says.
Sasha, can you come over from headquarters and fix my computer? She's gonna be like, oh good. I'm just gonna do a bunch of forced quits.
Yeah, that should. What could go wrong?
I don't know. We just quit.
You know, we out here just quitting.
Yeah, it's like going to rehab. What?
No, I got nothing. So Cooper Flagg played really well yesterday.
Yeah.
He's a good basketball player.
I hope he is really that guy.
I've seen him. I've seen the clips or whatever, but like he might be that dude.
Yeah, we watch a lot of Cooper. We watch a lot of Cooper Flagg in our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike is a fan.
Yeah, and he and his brother have gone round and round about the prowess of Cooper Flagg.
Caleb is not a fan.
He's not, but he's not buying into the hype because we watch, and up until last summer, we were seeing a lot of being in the same gyms as not being in the same gyms, but well aware of what Cooper Flagg was doing, and so we would see some other athletic wings and some other athletic bigs give him problems. But he's a stud. Watched him play against the Boozer twins. He's highly skilled, boy, that's for sure. Duke's getting a fella, man, if he can stay dialed.
Yeah, his skill set at the size, I think, is the special thing, right? That's where it comes in. If you don't know who we're talking about, is a guy incoming.
Like, what are these guys talking about?
What is a Cooper Flagg? No, it is a Cooper Flagg was part of the select team that was practicing against the USA men's national team yesterday, and was kind of giving them buckets a little bit.
Yes, he
was and against quality defenders. Now, I gets practice and whatever, but he's also 17, which is pretty impressive regardless of kind of the context of it. So
this thing is really not reading my camera.
Yeah, it might be a camera issue. I don't.
Oh, well, I ain't getting on.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. So anyway,
I can't really do anything about that.
Oh, no, that's fine.
We can give it a go in the break here.
Nah, we're good. So what else did we have going on other than Cooper Flagg? We had summer basketball.
A little summer league. How much summer league do you watch?
A lot.
I figured. Yeah.
Is that ridiculous?
No, I watch more than most people, but I just kind of assumed that you would, considering how much like AAU and 7-on-7 and all the like other kind of like.
You weren't interested in watching Zach Edey yesterday?
I mean, I caught some of it, but
he played like 30-some minutes, which for a top 10 pick, yeah.
Well, and not just for a top 10 pick, but it's a lot for him. Like he was averaging mid-20s at Purdue.
34 minutes. He was shot the ball well. I know he was over 50%.
Yeah.
I think he dropped 14 on him.
I watched some out of curiosity. I usually don't stay for a whole game. I just kind of want to see what it looks like. I'll tune in when Baylor gets going a little bit here with the Celtics. I think they're in the.
Of course you will.
Well, they're in the Vegas league, not in the California league. But I don't typically get a whole lot out of it, but there are a few guys I'm curious about. If I had some strong feelings about draft picks either before or after they went, a lot of times I'll tune in. I
just want to see how you're trending.
Yeah, I just want to see
if you know as little as I think you do.
Yeah, which is almost not possible because you don't think I know anything. But
I'm glad you said it. Takes the pressure off of me.
I mean, you say it most days, just in different words.
Yeah.
The problem is there's this like summer league phenomenon where a lot of times guys that never end up being anything just go off in summer league.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind that in general, but you just kind of have to watch it with a grain of salt, right?
Well, yeah, it's not like I'm going to tout anybody coming out of summer league.
You're going to be like Zach Edey.
Although I remember a couple, this is a handful of years ago because we were down in Vegas for a tournament, AAU. We were playing T-Mac's team.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember during some downtime, we went over to watch a little summer league.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're just guys, and I've said this to myself, yeah, he's going to play about 1 or 2 games. We're going to go ahead and shut him on down. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be a summer league guy. They're not risking it. And so sometimes you can see that, but I don't imagine Edey will play very long.
In the summer league?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. They probably kind of see what they need to see and then shut it down.
Yep.
That's fair. Travis says Ravi out here trying to see who will and who will not be a Lulla star, which is accurate. I like to keep my list up to date.
Yeah. Is it very accurate?
It's accurate for my criteria, yeah, but that's why it's called.
So do you even change your own criteria even when it's you?
I don't change the criteria
for the sake of being right.
It's not right. It's my list, so I can do whatever I want with
Well,
it.
I think I would. Well, I'm going to change it. And
I
in
mean-
my head, usually you say it out loud during a discussion. So when you do it in your head, only you know.
It's incredibly subjective because it's just my list.
Yeah.
So I don't really have to change the criteria.
Yeah.
It's just me out here.
Well, sometimes you talk to me like that, and I'm thinking, does he know what he just said 3 minutes ago? Maybe he doesn't.
Oftentimes I don't.
Yeah, just rolling with it. Just rolling with it.
Yeah, I like to keep the list of possible Lulla stars and who might be, who might not be. In case you're wondering, or in case Jason Tatum's wondering, which apparently he was, he's still not a Lulla star.
Yeah, I don't. Jason Tatum cut his hair for you.
I don't care about his hair. Why do I care about his hair?
Because I think he's trying to get you to like him.
Oh, well, he says that the debate's over on his elite status, and that's not true. It's not over. On elite status, maybe, but on Lulla star status, it's still very much open for debate.
Wow.
He's just not on the list yet.
So it's very subjective. I mean, what more does the guy got to do? You want him to rack up another one?
I would like him to not be the third or fourth best player on his team in the finals.
Here we go.
I'm not wrong.
Here we go.
I'm not wrong.
Yep. That guy does. If that guy's not on the floor, none of those other guys are like that. So
That's fine.
you're right when you say subjective.
But if there's a lot of guys that are like that and still end up being the best player on the floor every night.
Sometimes I don't know if you're just trolling me or just that ridiculous, but
I mean, listen, if you want a betting star list, you can come up with your own criteria. It'd be a bad list, but that's okay.
yeah.
You let everybody out. You'd be like, AD's on the list. Jason Tatum's on the list.
AD, get out of
You
here.
love AD. You'd be like, I think Porzingis might be on the list.
Dude, I don't love anything about the Lakers. And I'm telling you right now,
We're going to put Luka on the list.
if this dumb Bronny James story
Oh, you're putting Bronny on the betting star list? Wow.
becomes like
Wow.
Caitlin Clark, where I have to hear about it every day for no reason,
Putting Caitlin Clark on the betting star list? That's early.
I would put her on before I put Bronny. She's at least good.
It's early.
People love the long shots.
Like, just don't force feed me.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'll digest what I need to. Stop making something. And I don't need to see LeBron interviewed to say, hey, man, 0 cares given for Bronny. He just don't. Man, I see now's about the time I would stop daddying.
You don't think getting him drafted in the first place was force feeding us?
Here we go.
That kind of feels like force feeding us Bronny in
It's
the
a
first
business
place.
decision. Did you see they saved almost $4 million on the cap?
Oh,
Woohoo!
cool.
Now we're in a position to thumb our nose up at $4 million.
I mean, listen, if I'm the Lakers, yeah. Context matters here.
Yeah.
$4 million to the Lakers is like $4 to
Yeah,
me.
that's
Yes,
gonna
I
allow.
will.
That's gonna allow like JJ Redick and those guys to go out and get.
Like, you know why I don't do the McDonald's app and stuff like that? When you're always like, man, you get great deals in there. It's because I don't care about saving 80 cents. I don't. Like, that's what the $4 million is to the Lakers.
So context matters, right? If you're saving $1 off of $5, you don't care about saving 20%.
No, because I don't want to download the app.
Wow.
I don't want to go through the whole thing. Because then you download the app and then I'm
It's
driving.
like- I'm pretty stew, and it's like 90 seconds.
I'm just like, okay, so I've got
I
the
can't.
app.
I can't even figure out my camera.
And then I'm driving through and I
This-
go,
I think so. I was just
hey, I
losing
got
my mind.
this app thing and blah, whatever. I've got a coupon. I hate trying to give coupons through a drive-through.
It's not even a coupon.
It's a.
And why do you say coupon? It's a coupon.
Who says no? The U is after the O. Coupon. If it was the U was before the O, CU, then it'd be coupon.
Who says? Say it again.
Coupon.
It's not a coupon.
Yeah. COUP spells coup and an on. Coupon.
I don't know.
Kind of like Monticello, right?
I mean, this might be a black-white thing here. I don't know. Is coupon a black thing?
First of all, stop referring to yourself as white.
I'm half.
You don't get no. Hey, what minority? What biracial people do you know that get the lighter color recognition? You don't get that privilege.
No, but I think it might be, I take on some of the white culture, like saying coupon.
Coupon.
That's part of white culture.
Hey, did you cut the coupons?
Yeah, coupon.
It's made up.
As opposed to your
It's a coupon.
coupon. Where's the Q? Where's the CU?
Oh my gosh.
there's the rules on how things are spelled and pronounced, DB.
Yeah.
Like Monticello.
You're not gonna
It's cute.
You're
Like-
not gonna get Shane threw me off early.
Like
the camera's pissing me off.
Uruguay.
And oh god.
Uruguay.
Let's go, baby.
How you doing today?
Man, I'm trying to make it.
You just out here?
I am.
We just out here doing it?
Yep. Still no camera being read, so we're not logging in.
I mean, you got your laptop camera. You can just hop right in.
no, that's what I just showed you.
I know.
That comes up as the FaceTime deal.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
I mean, you could. All right. Well, I'm just saying you're making choices. Like pronouncing it coupon. Where's the listen, you want me to look up how coupon is spelled?
Yeah, I know how it's spelled. Coupon.
Yeah, COU, not CUO. Then it would be coupon or coupon.
Did you read Josh's text?
No, I haven't yet.
I was going to suggest restarting your browser. I can make you a laminated sheet for you like I did for Shane's little chicken coop.
Oh, come on, Shane.
I would love a laminated sheet on directions of how to do the same thing every day.
I think she was saying that
I know.
as like a derogatory comment.
Yep.
And you're like, I would love a laminated sheet.
Well, it'd make me feel like a coach because I carry a little laminated card.
Gotcha. Travis says it have to be Betting's Ballers, not Betting Stars. So
Betting's Ballers.
Yeah.
Okay. Some B2s?
So Bronny on the list.
No, that's completely made up.
Big Bronny guy.
Yeah.
Thinks he definitely should have been drafted. Definitely worthy of being drafted.
You'll just say anything. Well, yeah. And he's just so natural and just casual with the nonsense and tomfoolery.
You got the Boozer twins on there already.
Nope.
Betting's Ballers. Who else we got? Big AD guy.
No, I'm not.
LeBron James.
I know some other people in your family who put the Thompson twins in there already.
Hold me now. Or is that different Thompson twins?
Oh, he has the same ones.
No.
I
He's a little young for that.
don't think they've got that career. I don't think go back that far.
Incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Coming up on the show today, we've
Dude just referred to himself as white.
well, that was actually
Looking back.
an accident. I didn't even mean to do that. But
Oh,
you know.
fudge. My man MK. Ravi is correct.
on coupon,
Yes.
yeah, because I know how to pronounce things.
Wow. You're like 1 out of 38,000 since we've been doing this
Listen,
thing.
just because everybody in Iowa is
And why? That's my guy. Why is he riding with you?
listen, I'm converting your friends one by one.
That'd be unfortunate.
First it was Tony, and it was Big Kev. Now it's MK.
Big Kev. I ask Kev. Hey, has anybody ever called you Big Kev?
I've never met him, so that's the best part. Is I don't even know these people.
Tony made that up. I don't know where he's coming from.
Yep.
Coming up on the show today, we got Ryan Talbot. He covers the Buffalo Bills for Syracuse.com.
We're gonna see why the Butler did it.
We're gonna see why the Butler did it. Good way to go, Jim Nance. Well done over there.
Ooh, I feel like that was a jab.
He always does the cheesy lines.
Okay. All right. That was
I mean, it was a little cheesy.
all right.
We got Mike Schaefer
It's gonna be a heck of a
of
show.
Husker 24/7 coming up at 9. We'll see if DB can figure out his camera during the break.
Absolutely not.
Chances are not high. That's DB.
Chances are.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're here on the Pillar Exterior stage at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. How we doing?
I want to be vindicated.
Like Dashboard Confessionals?
Nope, that isn't working.
Okay, so this is why I waited to vindicate you. Just to be clear.
You're like, nope, still a dummy. No, I want to be vindicated. I feel like you owe me an apology.
Only if your camera actually works now.
I feel like you owe me an apology.
Why is that?
Because you guys made it seem, and Sasha had all the jokes like she's going to give me a cue card for 3 directions.
She said she was being serious, by the way.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
Wait till we have to travel together. She's going to be like, man, I left Aiden at home. It's all right.
How we doing? We get the camera working?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
No, see, you're giving the impression that it was my fault.
No, I'm just glad.
Well, how come you won't say, oh, man, you know what, DB, you're not as dumb as I thought you were?
No, I never said you were dumb.
You intimated.
No.
What'd you say over break? It's kind of offensive.
I don't remember.
Of course you don't. Being a Richard just comes so naturally to you that it just rolls right off the tongue.
It doesn't really register.
Shane, do you feel like sometimes you need to protect me? Because he's out of control.
I mean, if you listen to people, they say that you bully me all the time. So
well, that's because they think I'm like the dominant personality type, but I'm much more the team player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been told what to do my whole life.
Oh, am I not a team player?
Kind of rogue. Dude, you stop coaching because you hate kids.
That's self-awareness. Also, is that not being a team player? You're like, hey, you guys are going to be better off with me.
Hey, why'd you get into coaching? I like the sport. What about the actual coaching part? No, I'm good on that.
No. It's because I wanted to show people how right I was about how the game should be played.
Yeah, they're Mr. Self-aware.
Which I feel, listen, most people wouldn't say that out loud.
Oh, man, just incredible. I feel like you should be like, no, DB, wasn't your fault. It was technology.
Yeah.
You just can't do it, can you?
This particular instance does not appear to have been your fault.
Let's go, baby. Did that hurt your feelings to say?
No, I just so here's
Is it like a shot to the heart?
And you're to blame? You give love a bad name? Bon Jovi? No?
Okay.
You look like you would listen to Bon Jovi.
Slippery and Wet, 1986.
Good job, Shane. So here's what I don't want. I don't want me telling you that it's not your fault this particular time to be seen as a blank check to absolve you of all the other technological issues that often are your fault. So, like, yes, in this very specific instance, I do believe either the camera or the cord is malfunctioning.
Yeah, so you're like those teachers that say, well, if I let one go to the bathroom, I have to let everybody. And I always said, no, you don't.
No.
They may not have to go.
Yeah, that's dumb because when you have to go to the bathroom, you should let people go to the
bathroom.
So
this time is like I'm responsible for all the other times?
No, I just don't want people to hear it incorrectly.
What happened to being where your feet are, Mr. I love Matt Rule?
My feet are right here.
What happened to maximizing in the moment?
I got new shoes on.
What happened to all of that stuff?
It's not related currently. I'm going off of the context of what I have about DB's technological prowess.
Dude, I'm
hot take.
And I just don't want to blank check the like it's
Who's the Apple guy? Is it Steve Jobs?
Absolutely.
Johnny Appleseed?
Okay.
Is what it is.
Shane, who's the Apple guy?
Yes, it is Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I'm him. Literally, I am him.
Also,
stop it.
I believe Steve Wozniak was also a big.
I don't think I could pass for a Wozniak.
Maybe could be adopted.
Yeah, right.
God, I hate you.
It's a challenge.
I think we should talk to TK.
People come in lots of different names.
I don't know if I'm gonna like him either. He's kind of hit and miss.
We got TK calling in. What's up, TK?
Good morning, Sean.
Couldn't remember what it was. A lot of consonants in that one.
You guys sounding out. You guys sound like the Muppet song. Phenomena.
Wow.
Phenomena.
I knew there was something about this call. I was like, I'm not going to like this either.
Well, I got Ravi too. You know, I said Shalom with ding dongs.
Yeah, plural. You slid that in on me.
DB's not Indian.
So how are we doing this morning, boys?
We're okay. We're okay. I'm I'm back on camera. I'm no longer being quietly chastised from behind the scenes. So I'm good.
Now you're just being like openly chastised?
Yeah, I got over the coupon thing.
I mean, you're wrong a lot. It's fine.
Wow.
But you weren't wrong about Purpler.
Thank you. Purpler.
That was the biggest leap.
Thank you.
I still think you're wrong about Purpler, but that's okay.
Baby steps. What do you got for me this morning, TK? Since we're clearly not talking to Ravi.
The John Butler, whole thing has gotten me thinking a lot. I've heard lots of different opinions. Some people think that this is like possibly a 1-year thing. Others are like, well, how's he going to recruit? And I'm not too worried about the recruiting part because of just the way that they recruit in any ways. But the biggest thing that I've heard people being concerned about is the leadership in the room. And from what I heard you and Ravi talk about yesterday, and then thinking back to that springtime story of Isaac Gifford just going in and like, hey, this is how we do this drill.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That
you're talking about the time that I was at practice?
Yes.
Okay.
That's not a coincidence. Like Isaac Gifford probably and other people in that room presumably do that. They don't wait for, Coach Coop or another like Coach Knighton or Coach Rayola to try and fix something. They're like, I see it, I'm going to fix it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not worried about like that. I think the culture is already set well enough that we have reached a point with this Nebraska team that it is players enforcing the standard, not just coaches. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was talking a little bit in Benning Bites yesterday because Ravi asked a fairly, for him, it was a higher level question. He said, do you start with finding guys that can coach the players in the room, or do you go get the right guy? And again, after I was done being taken aback that he asked a fairly decent question, I was thinking to myself, you know what? Like, you have to start with the guy. The room will conform because I think in the past year and a half, Rule's got the culture almost where he wants it, where it'll regulate itself, right? They'll know how to behave, how to receive instruction, what's right and what's not wrong. I think you start with the adult in the room.
No, that makes sense. And that's where the best teams come in. Any team that is self-regulating, anything that is self-regulating is more likely to succeed than not if it needs constant outside pressure.
100%. I appreciate the call, TK.
We'll see you guys. Have a great day.
All right, buddy. Focus.
Sorry, my headphones were being goofy. What? What's up? How we doing?
I hope we make it back from India in one piece.
From India? That's a long trip, brother.
Do you know why I'm not going to India? Because one is enough.
Too many people look like me. Actually, it's weird. Most people in India don't really look like me because I am half white, which we discussed earlier. But my parents went over there one time. Actually, I used to go over there a lot, but I'm just gonna keep telling the story. We only have like a minute left, so there's not time to get into anything else. My parents went over there probably like 8 years ago.
So like,
and I used to
time out.
Yeah.
So like, Caleb goes to get his driver's license, right? And he's got to fill out the form.
Yeah.
You think he can say white
if he wants to? It's as true as black. 50-50. Flip a coin. Anyway, so my parents go over to India, and I'm like, hey, can you like bring me back? I wanted a cricket shirt. And
of course you did.
It's like the one thing we're good at over there. So, well, and computer stuff and heart surgery. But they go around. That was back when I was lifting a lot, and I was pretty jacked still, and I'm not anymore, which bums me out. But they were taking around a picture and showing it to like the shop owners, be like, you have anything that'll fit him? And they just were like, no, we don't make people like that here. Finally, they found a place. They got me like this was before I was big. Like, they had to get like a 5XL in India in order to fit me when I was like an XL here. So, no, I don't look like a lot of the people over there, is my point of that story. We'll wrap up hour number 1. Coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number one here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Amazing Daniel chimes in on Twitter. This is like the reverse of the 99% white people who say they're 1/8 Cherokee or whatever. Yeah, exactly, Daniel. Like if they can claim the 1/8 or 1/16th, or I've heard as deep as 1/64th.
Yeah.
And if they can claim that, then Caleb can claim whichever half he prefers that day.
Isn't that why they give you other?
That's usually what I pick.
Just out of being spiteful, or
no, just because I'm like ambiguously brown, and so like so they don't usually have like an Indian option on those whatever you're filling out, right? Like just India is not usually an option, or Indian. Sometimes they have like South Asian or stuff, but a lot of times they just have like Asian. And most of the time, when you hear the word Asian, you think of Southeast Asian, like China, Japan, Korea, which is a different,
like Pac Wyatt.
Yes, exactly, like our guy Korean Wyatt. But that's a generally different looking group of people than the people from India. And so like I usually don't put Asian because I don't feel like it appropriately applies to me, even though I do understand that India is in fact in Asia. Like so as part of Russia, I don't think most of them are putting down Asian also. You know what I mean? So I often will put down either 2 or more races, which is true, or other, depending on which is available.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Troy. I think that is fine.
Jordan wants to know if he can come hang out with us. I said absolutely.
If he wants to, yeah. I don't know who Jordan is, but
it's my St. Louis guy.
Oh,
I even know he's here. I tell you this all the time.
Oh, I think literally the first time you brought up Jordan was yesterday.
Oh,
yes.
I say my St. Louis Cardinals fan.
Okay, well, I don't know what that. I can't just assume. I'm not just like Galaxy writing it over here. Like, oh, St. Louis Cardinals fan must be Jordan. Has to be from Omaha, not St. Louis. Like, what am I doing here?
It is not optional.
You know people in St. Louis. It's not a crazy assumption to think he's not here.
Well, you are something else. What I tell you. People think I'm non-conforming. Like, you make me look like a Boy Scout.
I don't even know what that means.
Wow. Just obtuse for no reason.
Not out here selling popcorn.
Is that what they do now?
It's bad popcorn, man.
Is it?
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, I want to be supportive, but I'm like, can I just give you $20? This is trash. And it's expensive, too. They like charge you out the ear for terrible popcorn.
I thought you're the guy that doesn't care about saving money.
Selfish.
Yeah, I do care about bad popcorn, though.
Wow. Ravi out here for just slandering. Are they still? I imagine in 2024 it's a different name. What are we calling them now? Can we say Boy Scouts or like what are we doing?
I think that's still officially the name.
All right, so you're just out here slandering Troop 698, right?
I mean, I don't know the specific troop numbers, but I don't hang out with kids that much, so that's not like I don't know. I just know they're selling bad popcorn because they come to my door.
What's that?
I'm like, nah, man.
Why do you strike me as the guy that would have one of 2 signs at your house?
The no soliciting?
No soliciting or no trespassing. Beware of dog.
I don't have the beware of dog sign because I think the barking kind of speaks for itself. It's like, hey, if you think you're about that life, like go for it. Good luck.
Wow.
If you get past the 300-pound dogs, then good luck with the
rest.
Well, no, good luck with the wife that was a state champion trap shooter.
Jeez.
Like, I'm just saying. If you're coming to my house and you think you're about that business, like, good luck, bud.
The more you know.
It's flickering.
Not me you got to worry about.
Name like Natasha, and she's good with a rifle. Go figure.
Shotgun, but yeah.
Wow.
She's very specific. If she's like on the way to work and listening, she'd be like, it's not a rifle, Robbie. It's a shotgun.
Oh, so she trap shoots? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Very good at it. She's not going to miss.
Oh, I understand the trap game. She caught you.
Wasn't pretty.
Hey, what's up? Hello.
Also, she is a professional chef, too, so you know her knife works elite. So,
wow. Robbie here for filleting humans.
I mean, I'm not, but she might be.
Well, that got dark. No pun intended.
I mean, I don't know I think you got a couple shades on me.
Yeah.
How in that?
It depends on, although like you go like here, then you got a lot of shades on me. I'm very pale.
Wow, you maybe had a pass.
Yeah. See?
Be like the 1920s.
Let's go. I mean, when baseball teams used to call themselves like the Cubans. You know, that was a thing.
Yes, Ravi, I'm well aware.
Have you heard of the Negro Leagues? It's incredible. It's really good baseball. You know, there was a baseball team in Atlanta called the Black Crackers. It's a real thing. It's true. Very famous Negro League team, the Atlanta Black Crackers. Just said ABC across their chest on the jerseys.
Knock it off.
It's real. There was a period of my life where I was very interested in the history of the Negro Leagues. Thought it was cool.
Looking for a group to identify with.
Anywhere I can find them. They wouldn't have me either. I'm just out here on my own.
Yeah.
They say no man is an island, but here I am.
James Ingram on my own. Yeah.
How you doing? You all right?
No.
Doing okay?
No.
We got Yannick Center playing this morning.
No.
What's up?
You're out of control.
What?
We're gonna leave all of this.
You gonna leave it all behind?
Yep. We're gonna leave it all back there.
Where are we going?
I want to get back to TK's call for a second.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. Let me get this out.
You need a second? What did TK call about? He talked about John Butler.
Oh.
We're going to talk to a Buffalo Bills reporter about John Butler here in just a minute. Ryan Talbot.
Yeah.
Syracuse.com.
The pulse in the room, I think, is really, really important because, man,
you're probably just having a hard time because you're like, man, this all stemmed from Ravi's incredible question. And you just have a hard time admitting it, just like I have a hard time admitting that, like, this particular technological issue was not your fault.
Yes.
So,
I feel like you woke up feeling some type of way.
Nah, I'm all right. I was feeling pretty good this morning because, I had my tennis lesson last night.
Yeah.
And I played pretty well. I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy with how I played yesterday. So I was feeling jazzed up about it.
And then you
had
to come to work.
I feel great. Yeah, I feel good.
It's great. People I'm surprised so many people are coming around on you because it's really like swallowing a horse pill. You just have to choke it on down. Omaha Ryan.
Dude, Ryan loves me. Me and Ryan are
For
boys.
whatever the reason. I can't figure it out.
This reason.
Oh, I took a picture of his liceance plate.
Oh,
I was going to send it to you.
Does he have a Florida State license plate?
It's Skurnol. You'll never see that anywhere else. Skurnol.
I love it.
He says the best part of the shows are when you bring me to tears and leave me speechless. It's incredible. If they were here over break, we would be so fired.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Johnny the pig. He's like, wait, Robbie's Indian?
See, I don't look like it. Kind of
you asked me the same question last year,
anyway,
Eric.
Ambiguously brown color.
Do you think a fresh set of eyes in this particular case for a group that you've always said has more questions than answers is a good thing?
Has more options than answers.
Options.
Well, because I don't know that they have a lot of questions. I don't love the depth, but a lot of you know a lot of the possible options to the questions. I just don't know if you have good answers, right? I do think there's a chance that in a short term, just coaching the position, that John Butler might be really, really good, and maybe even a slight upgrade over Evan Cooper. That's not saying Evan Cooper didn't know what he was doing, but this dude's been doing it at the NFL level for 10 years. He may have some insight into coaching the positions that Evan Cooper didn't have yet, right? Evan Cooper's younger, doesn't have the NFL experience to the same degree that John Butler does. So I do think that's possible, that we may see a slightly elevated product from the defensive backfield because of this switch, and having a different voice, having a different set of eyes in there that can, just a new perspective on the group, I think could be helpful. I don't know if it will be, but I think there's that chance for sure.
Yeah, I'm curious because a lot of those DBs that were playing at a closer to competitive conference level had really started to take on Coach Cooper's personality.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, there's a lot of, he could say and do some things in those meetings where I was like, ooh, you have to be built a certain way to take that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already what I would call seasoned. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to come in and coach hard, like they're very prepared for that. So going back to the question that was asked about, like, do you get a guy that can coach these guys? Like, I don't think you can go find a guy that can coach a specific player in the room, but you do kind of have an understanding of what your room's mentality is.
Yeah, like an overall mindset of the room.
Right.
So my question would be, how much different is that from the overall mindset of the team, though? Because you say they take on Coop's personality, and I'm like, is it Coop's personality, or are they all just taking on the personality that the
so I
program
think
is.
it's a lot like us, right? Where the company has kind of a culture. It's very inviting. It's there's some autonomy. There's, hey, just do your part well, kind of. But then there's the individual personalities within those groups, right? Where you're like, oh, that's just those guys. That's just those guys. So I think it's very, very similar in the football room if the culture's already set. You can operate within those confines.
Sure.
But it still has its own individual traits.
But is there a position group, and we can maybe get to this later, is there a position group you would say where if you don't like being coached hard, you would do very well on this team?
No.
That's kind of what I was.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we've got Ryan Talbot. Want to talk a little John Butler from the Buffalo Bills, Syracuse.com.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Zappy in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Looking to his left. Fires quickly. And it's picked off. Rasul Douglas at the 40. On his feet. To the 30. To the 25. Down to the 15. 10. 5. And into the end zone for the touchdown. Rasul Douglas, the playmaker. Here's the snap. 5-step drop. Rolling to his left. Going to step up in the pocket. And it's picked off by A.J. Epinesa going the other way. Blockers in front to the 5. Touchdown, Buffalo!
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Ryan Talbot. He is a Bills writer for New York Upstate and Syracuse.com. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, not too much. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it seems like a couple years ago, 3 or 4, we maybe would have been calling to talk about Harrison Phillips, but the gift that keeps on giving. This is before he went to Minnesota, but we get another Buffalo transition into Nebraska, right? You had to know right away when our producer's like, hey, can you come on and talk with a station in Nebraska? You knew what we would be talking about, I'm guessing.
You know, a little bit. I had a hunch.
So why isn't Josh Allen able to take care of sorry. So I may get to that later if we've got time. But we obviously want to talk about John Butler. Presumably, I don't think it's actually been announced yet, but presumably Nebraska.
There's fiscal calendars, Ravi.
I understand that. That's why, usually it's July 1st, though, so I thought they would announce it by now. Presumably Nebraska's new secondary coach, most recently with the Buffalo Bills. So I guess, broad strokes here, give you a little leeway on how you want to answer this, but what should Nebraskans expect from their new secondary coach, John Butler, based on your experience with him up in Buffalo?
Yeah, I would expect a unbelievable secondary. Honestly, I mean, this guy could work with anyone and get the most out of them. If you look at his tenure in Buffalo, you can look at, he inherited Trey White, a first-round pick. He helped Trey White get to Pro Bowl, All-Pro type caliber levels. But it wasn't just the top caliber players at cornerback either. And I know he had Karen Johnson, one of the best nickels as well. But Dane Jackson, a guy that's in Carolina now, he helped him get a nice little contract in Carolina because of the way that he was able to develop the 7th-round pick. He brought in Kevin Johnson for a year from the Texans. Kevin Johnson held down the fort when given the opportunity. They have brought in, Christian Benford is their number 2 cornerback going into this year, but at times he played like a number 1 cornerback, and this was another day 3 small school.
Yeah, Villanova guy.
He gets the most out of his players. The only cornerback that really hasn't panned out under his watch has been Kyer Elam, and I think that was more of a circumstance of Elam being more of a man coverage type of player in college, the Bills being a heavy zone type of scheme. But from top to bottom at cornerback, he's been able to get the most out of players. And then, safety position as well. If you want to talk defensive backs as a whole, we know what they had there in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. But that secondary always played really well. It wouldn't shock me if sooner rather than later, John Butler even emerges and becomes their defensive coordinator. He's that good of a coach.
Yeah, so a lot of people have kind of fast forwarded, right? With Nebraska's defensive coordinator, Tony White, he's courted just about every offseason for another job, and Coach Rule has been extremely open about, hey, listen, I know he's going to be a head coach one day. For us, we prepare in the moment. I want all my guys ready. How important, given Coach Butler's personality, do you think it was to have his defensive coordinator involved in the hiring process from a philosophical or a teaching or just a personality standpoint? How important would that be to Butler?
I think that'd be very important. And listen, Butler is phenomenal with the X's and O's. This is a guy that was running the defensive meetings a lot of the time for the Bills. Sean McDermott was their play caller. He's their head coach, but this past season, it was John Butler that did a lot of the meetings and ran them and made sure guys knew, what the expectations were. I think that if the Bills didn't already have someone waiting in the wings in Bobby Babich that they didn't want to lose, someone that was getting a lot of attention elsewhere this offseason before they were able to kind of name him as the defensive coordinator. I think Butler would have been the guy for that job. So, Butler, in terms of being on the same page with his head coach, that's big. He's a great teacher, though. There are players that will come out and say nothing but high praise for this coach, and you don't always get that in this business.
Yeah.
We're talking with Ryan Talbot of Syracuse.com. Ryan, so talk about the Babich and Butler situation here for a second, because I'm not sure. I know there's been some articles about it, but I'm not sure Nebraskans necessarily totally understand the intricacies of what happened there in terms of naming the new defensive coordinator and Butler ultimately deciding to part ways with Buffalo. Kind of get into that situation and how that all played out.
Yeah, well, so, I'll give the short version first. I think what it came down to is they're probably both up for the job. And at the end of the day, the Bills probably looked at Babich and being a younger coach, someone that has had a lot of success already in his own right. He was a linebackers coach. We know how well he's done with
Milano
this past season, Terrell Bernard just kind of came out of nowhere and put up great numbers. He was in the secondary with the safeties, Poyer and Hyde, obviously doing great things there. So it was probably a very tough decision, but what probably swayed them in the way of Babich was he was getting interest and interview requests elsewhere, and the Bills probably didn't want to have to lose him, knowing that he's still a younger coach. His dad was a great coach in this league for many, many years. So I think at the end of the day, to make sure that they could keep him in Buffalo, they gave him that title. And Butler, knowing that he probably, should have been, I can't say should have been the D coordinator, but should have been in heavily considered for that role. When he didn't get it, he probably said, I need to go somewhere, or I need to take a little time off until I can find a spot where I can be a D coordinator for a big program. And we know that's not what he's doing now, but I think sooner rather than later, that will be the case.
So, in the weeds here in Nebraska's general manager, Sean Patton and Butler have a connection going all the way back to Catholic University, where Butler was a coach. And I understand my tree and how far those branches reach out, but how would you pit the previous connections that he may or may not have with some guys at Nebraska versus his availability on the open market versus the quickness in which they got the deal done? Because some skeptics may say, okay, well, there's a past relationship. He was available. Why was he out on the open market versus, wow, this was a really good job by Nebraska getting this guy in almost a seamless, quiet transition. How do you kind of buoy, or how would you mediate that discussion?
Well, first and foremost, connections are huge in college football, pro football. If you look at Buffalo's front office, there's a lot of connections of guys that have either left and come back, or Carolina connections, and this, that, and the other. It happens in the business, and I'm sure that played a role in John Butler getting hired. But I can say for a fact that once he decided to part ways with the Bills, there was interest across the league. A few teams, but they just already had kind of interviews done for coordinators. But once he became available, they almost shifted and changed gears a little bit. I think timing had a lot to do with it in terms of why he was still on the market when he was. But like I said, in terms of a teacher, in terms of the X's and O's, Butler is an excellent communicator. Again, the connection is the connection. There's probably something to that, but this isn't just like they just hired their buddy. This is an excellent coach that Nebraska ended up getting. And I said as much as soon as I saw that was announced on social media.
So, Brian, what's the general feeling about John Butler and the way his departure happened? I guess amongst the team itself more so than fans was he still looked upon favorably, and it was just like, hey, this isn't the right fit anymore? Or I guess I'm just curious about kind of the tone of the departure outside of the granular details.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of players that were disappointed to see him go. My colleague Tim Graham wrote a piece on The Athletic, and he said that he had players without him reaching out to them, reach out to him first and foremost, just to say what a great coach he was and to speak, highly of this guy. And that tells you what kind of coach John Butler was. It tells you what kind of support he had in this locker room, how much they thought of him as a coach and how much he helped develop players. We had him as a guest on our podcast a few months ago, probably about 2 months ago, and he talked about the preparation that he takes for this job and how he does get some satisfaction out of seeing some of his players go elsewhere, like a Dane Jackson, and get a nice contract, or seeing players get re-signed like Taron Johnson and become the highest paid nickel cornerback in the league, which I believe that's no longer the case, but at the time it was. So, he knows that his coaching and the players reach out and say as much to him have played a role in helping these guys. A lot of these, day 3 picks, Taron Johnson was a day 3 pick, and I've already gone over some others. Help them not just make the league, but develop and become players that are sought after in this league.
Yeah, full disclosure, Ryan, a Nebraska alum, played there. My son was heavily recruited. He's in that room as a freshman. So I immediately on Friday and Saturday, Friday night, barely slept. Coach Coop obviously played a huge role in the recruiting along with some other guys. But I say all that to say I'm always curious when guys have been out of the college game for a little while and they come back, how important it is for the relationship building versus the teaching, right? They're both extremely important, but for 18 to 22-year-olds, the rapport can be huge, especially replacing a guy like Coach Coop, who was so integral and kind of setting the tenor for that room. What strengths does Coach Butler have in terms of building those relationships, considering, and I said this on Monday, I came back and I said, the thing that made me the most impressed is not just asking some of my guys that are connected with the NFL, but it was that the players were kind of, without saying it, like, that's our guy. You don't hear, I've been cut in 2 NFL locker rooms. You don't often hear that players have relationships with their position coaches. We hear a lot of the business aspect. So that kind of put me at ease a little bit that so many guys were talking about the connection he had with them.
Yeah. They all say that when it comes to communication, when it comes to the teaching aspect of it, which that's going to be huge, probably even bigger, obviously, in college football than even in the pros, that he was one of the best at doing it. He was the way that he communicated to players, the way that he would work on techniques or communicate to them what kind of techniques they needed to work on. They said that he was just a straight shooter in that approach, but a great teacher as well. So communication has always been one of his strong suits. And like you said, he hasn't been in college since Penn State, but he did a great job at Penn State before coming to Buffalo. This is a guy that has a track record that has followed him for quite a few years now. So I think, if anything, these last few years in the NFL, the resume that he's built with these players, the guys that haven't been recruited into major colleges, like we just said, a Villanova guy and Christian Benford, and these day 3 picks, and Pitt's a big program, but Dane Jackson was a round 7 pick. He's been able to get the most out of these guys. So now you're getting players that were recruited in Nebraska, and he's going to be able to kind of coach them up even further than what they received, obviously, at the high school level, or some of them that have already been in the program. The way that he communicates is going to speak volumes, and I really think you're going to see a high level of play in that secondary with John Butler as their coach.
All right, Ryan, before we get you out of here, I'm going to change gears on you here real quick because in addition to –
not to mention, I'm going to preface this by saying, sorry to interrupt, we go back and forth about Josh Allen on this show a lot.
Oh, I wasn't even going to go.
We got to give him some grace on any questions he wants to know about Buffalo.
I actually wanted to. So, in addition to obviously being in Nebraska and being a Nebraska fan, I have a weird affinity for Florida State, and so I love your guy Keon Coleman that you guys brought in. Like, do you have a Keon Coleman story yet? Because it seems like every video I see of him, like we didn't get a lot of this at Florida State. I don't know. Like, he seems like he just kind of is finding his personality a little bit up there in Buffalo.
it's still a little bit early, but I'm sure by the end of training camp, we'll all have some Keon Coleman stories. But he has made a great first impression in terms of meeting with the media and all these clips that you've seen on social media. But this was someone that Josh Allen wanted when the first night of the draft was over. He pretty much told Brandon Beane as much. He's like, Keon Coleman's a guy that I like. He didn't test well at the combine in terms of the 40 speed, but when you looked at the actual route running and the speed that he had on the route tree and some of the routes that he'd have to run in the NFL, which I think is more valuable than just straight line speed, he was among the best in his group. He's a big target. He's a physical target. I think that's exactly what the Bills were looking for an X receiver this offseason. And, rookies, they're not going to come in generally and set the league ablaze. We saw that with last year's rookie class. A lot of players that we thought were going to be instant impact guys weren't necessarily. Some were. I think in this year's class, Dunze and Marvin Harrison Jr. have a great chance of being those impact guys right out of the gate. I think Coleman might take a little bit of time, but Buffalo last year, over 3,000, plays run, all this pass plays, very pass-heavy offense. They only had 8 defensive holding and total of 8 defensive holding and defensive pass interference penalties called on the opposition all of last season. They ran a lot of routes, and Stephon Diggs isn't an overly physical player. Gabe Davis was an overly physical player. I think that they wanted to get a physical presence in there that would fight for that ball, that would draw some more defensive holding, defensive pass interference penalties, and that's where it's going to come in early on for Keon Coleman. He's going to be a red zone weapon. He's going to be a guy that you're going to try to get it to him in a tight space, which Allen can obviously do with that arm strength and those small windows. So I think a lot goes into it, but in terms of the person and the personality, Coleman has already stood out quite a bit.
All right, I fibbed. I want to ask one more just because I have an affinity for his running style. More important in terms of their involvement in the offense this year, James Cook building on whatever it was, 1,100 yards. I know he only had the 2 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, or the development of Khalil Shakir?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, I guess I'm going to go with James Cook. I want to say Shakir, but I think that the Bills are going to spread the ball out a lot in the passing game. You have Dalton Kincaid. You have Shakir that came on strong. We already mentioned Keon Coleman. They brought over Curtis Samuel, who already has history with Joe Brady and a really successful season with Joe Brady under his belt in Carolina. James Cook, though, is going to be a focal point in terms of getting this running game going. He's such a good pass catcher generally. He had some pretty bad drops last year. He probably dropped about 3 or 4 touchdowns that hit him on the hands. Definitely something that would concern you a little bit. But the way that he could pick up big chunks of yards on the ground, the way that when he does catch the ball, the vision that he has, the burst that he has, I think that he'll be such a huge focal point, because we saw last year when they made the shift to Joe Brady, at that time the interim offensive coordinator, that they were going to get the run game more involved. That Dallas game last year where the run plays just kept working with James Cook, and he pretty much said, you know what, that wasn't our original game plan, but if something's working, why go away from it? And they just kept calling it. And they started to lean on that a little bit more. That will help Josh Allen. It'll help the play action pass and help this offense. So between those two, it's a tough call, but I'd go James Cook.
That's Ryan Talbot. He covers the Buffalo Bills for New York Upstate for Syracuse.com and hosts the Buffalo Bills News podcast. Ryan, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Love the versatility. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
That's Ryan Talbot from Syracuse.com. Good stuff there from him.
So far, I hate to just be like a lapdog, but it's early.
Yeah.
But
so far, so good.
Raising a kid that has really good discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Thumbs up.
So far, so good. That's what we like to hear.
Thumbs up.
I do.
The Babbage thing is interesting because the critics will say,
yeah,
well, what? I got a little bit of this on Twitter, but I didn't get into it. Like the thread took off. I originally started something with Matrix Analytics because of my respect for what Adam and Dave do. I just know that they're good.
Yeah.
So there was kind of a ringing endorsement from he was an up and riser in 13 before he got snatched to go to the NFL. And they usually don't take bums to go from college to the NFL. And then you have a 10-year career where you put up the defensive statistics that you did. So I was like, I gave a you guys fire emoji. And then Listen, I stayed for the comments because I always do sometimes. I always do sometimes. Yeah, always and sometimes. I always do, but sometimes it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. And I got a lot of the, sitting coach, what happened. And I think the Babich and Butler thing is incredibly important because the Bills secondary was taken for granted a little bit. And the development of their linebacking core with Dotson and some of those guys, I think really earned Babich. Really earned Babich some love because those guys had gotten better in a hurry under his direction, whether it was Dorian Williams or Dotson. It doesn't matter. Like, not to go all Omaha Radio Hour and the Buffalo Bills, but I could see where Babich's name was extremely popular. And with McDermott being a defensive-minded guy already, going with Babich, another defensive-minded guy, I'm not saying this happened, but sometimes when you have other smart guys in the room that can do what you do, sometimes it's easier to cut bait if there's some overlapping.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you'll take the younger guy that's a little more malleable and make the decision that way.
As opposed to the older guy who probably has his own ideas about how he wants to do
and
things.
is pretty good at it.
And
pretty good at what he does.
Right?
I mean, you look at
that's not a good or a bad thing.
It just is what it is.
You have two guys that have a prowess for the same side of the ball that maybe have different ideas on how that should be done. Versus, hey, you got a young guy that you can mold and teach and have.
I mean, you look at their yards per play given up and passing TDs. It's like, I mean, don't let what Mahomes did to him a couple years ago in about 1 minute and 9 seconds of total lifespan.
Yeah.
For you. But
to be fair, he does that to literally everyone.
Yeah, he's incredible.
So I mean, I think we're okay to give him a pass there because that's just kind of what Mahomes does.
I think I'm most interested in watching the dynamic between he and Coach White, because I say this all the time. I think good business people are not afraid to hire people that are smarter than them. And I'm not going to get into whether Butler's acumen is higher than Coach White's because I don't know.
Yeah, I
have no idea.
But they're both smart guys.
Well,
obviously.
I don't know as much about Coach Butler as I do about Coach White. He is incredibly smart in understanding all three levels and the totality of a defense. And I watch him at a practice, and he's everywhere. Sometimes he'll be with the D line, sometimes he'll be with the secondary, sometimes he'll be with the second level guys. And in his defense, he clearly knows the most.
Yeah.
Like, he clearly knows the most. So there's the teaching portion to another adult.
Well, and part of that was none of those guys that coached that defense before.
There's another part to knowing when to follow and when to lead. Because I always say this, sometimes you got to be a good follower.
Not everybody can be a leader.
Right. Yeah, time matters.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm curious to see those dynamics, because when you get a lot of smart people in a room and they can collab, you give yourself a really, really good chance to have success. But it's the collaboration part. So if the culture stays what it has been, where they don't care who gets the credit, and it doesn't have to be your answer to be the right answer, man, it's hard not to be excited.
Good stuff there on John Butler from Ryan Talbot and from DB as well. Coming up next, we've got more Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where DBs learn all about the specials during commercial breaks.
Specials. I am. Reverse happy hour was the one I just saw. Why? Listen. Why are you worried about what information I'm consuming over here? Stay on your own side of the street.
Yeah, I'm just over here. I'm just out here.
You know, yeah, I know. You're super out there.
Just out here doing it.
So did you know that you were going to spark such a gun discussion on StreamYard? Apparently we have a lot of violent people in the stream.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was, just letting people know.
Yeah. How about Steven being like Mr. Gunman?
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, guess what? So that original impression you did of Steven doesn't sound like you could have been any further from being off.
Well, actually, so just because he likes gun doesn't mean he may not still be a nerd.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, why are you stereotyping people, DB?
I'm not. Have you ever seen the Zodiac Killer? They thought he was a nerd too.
Nobody
let the thin wire rim glasses fool him.
Nobody's seen the Zodiac Killer, DB. We don't know. Never been caught.
No.
To this day?
No, they got him.
They didn't get the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, that's right. That was my California dude.
That might just be the movie.
The old police officer.
Yeah, Zodiac Killer has not
been listen,
caught.
I understand. I know my serial killers.
Well, apparently
Back
not.
in the day.
Much like you tried to paint me as one yesterday.
I'm just saying. You're like, I don't have a lot of common with that guy. And it's like, but the serial killer shows you do. It's you kind of walked yourself into that corner.
Whatever.
You're like, oh, Ravi always paints me into the corner, but you're just marching there all by yourself.
Nobody puts baby in the
You're
corner.
just marching there all by yourself.
Yeah, whatever.
Nobody puts DB in a corner,
you know.
except for you, and you're just like, I'm just marching right into the serial killer corner.
Yeah, I think so too. But still,
Thank you, Art.
Yeah, but still,
You guys ever track him down?
No, but I'm
not a LeBron James fan.
I'm not either. So
you love LeBron James.
I know.
You and him and AD and Bronny.
More fibs.
And then again,
what's worse? Your take on my take on LeBron and the Lakers, or I'm not gonna get you started.
Or
again.
what?
No.
Or what?
No.
What you want to talk about, DB?
You think I'm putting that quarter in again?
It only took us 45 minutes to let it run out the first time.
Whack job.
50, maybe. I don't know.
Lunacy.
Jaded? No.
Stop. That would be Luda.
No, there's Jadacy. Is that a thing?
There's Jodeci.
Jodeci. That's what I was saying.
Wow.
You were saying lunacy. I was thinking Jodeci. I don't know.
Exactly. My mom's probably like.
Are you kidding me?
Casey, JoJo, old Mary J. Blige split.
Yeah.
Drugs.
Well, we don't need drugs. Nobody needs. Let's not do drugs.
Tell that to Casey.
And JoJo, or just Casey?
It's just Casey.
Okay.
So let's get over that.
Yeah. Let's get over that, DB.
Sorry.
See, this doesn't take much.
She hasn't called in to talk about the Mason Miller injury yet. I'm concerned.
We're not playing with desperation.
She may not be.
Not ready to talk about it?
She may not know.
Mason Miller broke his leg, in case you guys don't know. So.
Wow.
And that's out there, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Whoops.
Oh, I've done much worse.
Yeah, a couple times.
He committed. Wait, what?
No,
wait,
he really hasn't.
Nobody said that out loud? Full disclosure, that's an easy mistake to make.
Is it? Mason Miller will be out about 3 months. That's all.
Feel free to get my back every now and again.
Should be ready by fall camp.
Yes, it's okay.
It's an easy mistake to make. Agreed.
It is correct.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Got your back?
I don't believe
Need
one
a pat
word.
on your back?
I don't believe one word of what you just said.
And the camera wasn't your fault today either.
Well, thank you. You're growing up right before my very eyes.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, it's a stretch. Pack Wyatt when I need him. Love to watch you at the driver's license place.
It's not even on there. I checked my driver's license. I don't think they do ethnicity on there anymore.
If you go in person, it's still on the sheet.
It might be on the sheet, but they don't put it on.
I don't know if you have to fill it out.
They don't put it on the actual license anymore. I think they used to.
Yeah, just in case.
Well, no, we got.
Just in case. Nice wallet, by the way. What are you, 80?
I got some stuff going on here. Yeah, it does. It says brown eyes, black hair. Doesn't say ethnicity at all.
What's he got, the Michael Severe wallet going on there?
Oh, pretty close.
You got the can opener in there?
Got a lot going on here. Got a lot of stuff. That's why I always take it out of my pocket, so I'm not sitting on it.
Wow.
Got a lot going on, man. What do you want me to do?
Grow up.
There's non-negotiables in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got my cards, got my insurance cards, got my driver's license, got some cash. You
carrying all your coupons in there?
No, I don't do coupons. Or coupons, as some people would call them.
Oh, I forgot about that conversation.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you did, Shane.
Can't say leakage, Shane.
They do make those digital now.
Back in the day.
The coupons or the wallets?
Coupons. They are digital.
The coupons?
They're digital now.
I know. That's why I don't want to mess with them. I'm going through the drive-thru.
No. So, when Boy sends them to me, I just use the scan thing.
Trying to save 80 cents on the Big Mac. Also,
I'm not even going through. Can you get off the McDonald's thing? I just used that because I told you I was losing all my points because I hadn't been there in a while.
I'm just using the example you gave. What am I supposed to do?
Of course you are. How do you have any friends?
I don't know, man.
It's incredible. DeMarinis, but those guys just got to be like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah, well, they're mean too.
That's your defense.
Yeah.
You'll bring everybody else down to make you seem normal.
No, I'm just
a
just,
little narcissistic, isn't it?
No, I'm just. I
Well,
think
they're mean too.
I think I find people that have common.
D. Marina says a lot of things. He doesn't appear to be mean.
No, D. Marinas is probably the nicest of all four of us.
Wow.
Padilla gets a little snarky.
Oh, you ain't got to tell me.
He means well, but like
his delivery is hilarious.
Yeah, like he's very matter of fact.
Yeah,
yeah,
I understand.
I don't know anybody like that.
No, me neither.
I
tell you,
some people like me. I don't know.
I just said I wasn't going to do this, and then 4 minutes later, it's kind of happening.
Posted a picture on my Instagram. Me and some friends out at the lake this weekend.
Yeah, you were with Crazy Amber.
Yeah, I did not put two and two together.
Yeah, that's our art teacher Nutty Amber, whose dad is an original beef. What do they call those guys? Her dad. That's Mad
Rump Roasters.
Yeah, her dad's Mad Cow.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I had
you
no
can't
idea.
tell.
No, I don't look at her and be like, I bet your dad was a rump roaster. Like, no, that's not what came to my mind.
Let me specify. Could you see the connection? What an idiot. Do you crack you up?
A little bit sometimes.
You're just chomping at the bit to just couldn't let that one ride, huh?
No. I told you I have joke Tourette's. If I see a joke, I have to say it.
Hey, nice to meet you. Is your dad a rump roaster? I could see the resemblance. That's not what I said.
That's what it sounded like you were saying. That's what it sounded like you were saying.
Yeah, good job.
You know who's not a tough hang? Her kid.
Yeah, that's my guy, the wrestler.
Yeah.
He's amazing. How about how he just asked for the phone like he was grown? To reset the story, we have an acquaintance. She's come up on the show many times, but I never call her by name. She teaches. I'm not even going to go there. We have a familiar connection at a high school in town.
She works at Westside. Okay, sorry. Hey,
and
you're not really like hinting at it. You're like,
I've talked a lot about just a lot, and you guys coincidentally were out boating together.
Yeah. So my buddy's mom, I think, also works at Westside, and so they know each other from there. And so I was out there with my buddy. She was out there with his mom because it's like their family lake house or whatever. And so, yeah, we were out.
That sounds a lot like what you do.
We were hanging out on the 5th, and we weren't on the 4th of July, but we were hanging out on the weekend and had a good time. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I teach at Westside." And I was like, "Oh." And so I asked her if she knew Jay, and she's like, "That's like my best friend."
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I do the radio show with her husband."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you guys talk about me sometimes."
Yeah, yes, we do. Yes,
yeah,
we
her
do.
little dude was cool.
He is the real deal.
We were playing some football. And
I talked about him out. He's at state wrestling in Grand Island.
Yeah.
His little sister is Zoe's best friend.
That's what they were saying. But yeah, we were throwing football a little bit around on the beach. It was nice.
When he's like, "Hey, let me talk to him."
He
say, "You talking to DB?" Yeah, dude's in the second
Let
grade.
me talk to him. I was like, "Oh, here's my phone, bud."
Yeah, that's my man. So his dad is the one that we went to Top Cat after state basketball, and he wanted a Bud Light, but they didn't have it, so I just Hopcat. So I got him the zip line, the Dear Old Nebraska U, and he fell in love with it, and he didn't even know he was an IPA guy.
There you go.
That's the guy.
Small world.
Very much so.
We'll talk about something next. That's Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Yeah, well, maybe. Mike J. Schaefer.
Not yet.
Eventually.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage, live from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
Hi.
You doing all right?
Yeah, I thank goodness for Betty. Somebody with some sense.
Yes.
It's apparently on your driver's license, just hit the barcode when they scan it.
Yeah.
And it has apparently race included.
Yeah, I don't have like a barcode scanner, but
the more you know. Do you have a current license?
Yeah. I've got the barcode on there. I don't have the scanner to be like, oh, look, there's my race. You know what I mean?
Was that one of those things that you think was implied, but it really wasn't?
I mean, you kind of were like, hey, just hit that barcode scanner. It's like, how am I supposed to read that?
Well,
I can't
talking about you.
I can't read barcodes.
I was just getting ready to say you know what race you are, but according to this morning, you don't.
I do.
But the assumption for most people would be that you yourself have some sort of idea. It would be for other people to identify you, not to go all others on you this morning.
Are you going all you guys on me? No.
No.
I'm not confused. It's just, I just got to pick one sometimes. And
thank goodness for Betty.
Because
it is on the sheet.
When you're multiple, you're saying.
Yeah. According to the self-glossed amazing Daniel.
Like 164th Cherokee,
Darrell Nebraska is not an IPA. It's a lager.
That's good to know.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. The more you know. Only him.
The more you know.
Only him.
Get the little like rainbow star thing
yes,
going.
Yes,
yes. There's nothing like a 90s infomercial,
Well, that's amazing, Daniel.
He is kind of like our own little 90s infomercial of the show.
He's the fact checker.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Him and Steven. Although me and Steven are cool now. We're buds.
Yeah.
Just like Uncle Kev.
No. No.
And Jordan was coming St. Louis Jordan, who lives in Omaha. And FSU Ryan.
Right.
FSU Ryan actually does like me. I don't know any of the other ones.
Yeah, he came over Saturday and stemmed the tide. He probably stayed for, I don't know, a couple hours maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. We sat at the kitchen table like old people. This is me and him.
I am old.
Oh, he left. I was like, yeah, glad I got that off my chest because I was not. He caught me at an odd time.
As long as you're not hanging out at like gas stations drinking coffee, like that's when you know you're old.
Yeah, I wouldn't drink coffee.
I
don't sit down in gas stations.
So there's like at the Casey's when I lived in Ashland,
Mm-hmm.
there would be these older gentlemen that they had like a little table for them, and they'd sit there every morning and drink their coffee when I was going in to get my food on the way to work.
How do you think those guys would feel about 1890? All in, all out. Paying them damn kids or pay the damn kids?
Most people like the year.
It's all in the delivery.
Most people like the year that they were born.
It's not the question.
Typically, the older generations have a little bit harder time with the NIL concept than people.
Nebraska does not.
No.
They were named
official.
It's official.
Officially official.
Which I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think regardless of what happens, the collectives at some point in, out, whatever, are going to be pretty important. So I like the outward.
Well, and it helps
It just cleans it up.
It cleans it up. It kind of streamlines it, especially the funding portion of it.
Dude, how about now tax deductible?
That's a big deal.
Well, it's huge.
Yeah, that helps a ton with your donations,
right?
In terms of soliciting those donations, like that's a big deal. I think that part kind of got glossed over a little bit almost yesterday.
That's why we're talking about it, right?
That's right. We talk about all the important things, as you've seen in the first 2 hours of the show today. Like where to find your race on your driver's license. It's in the barcode. Thanks, Betty. Speaking of people born in 1890, I'm just kidding. Most people named Betty were not born this century. That's all I'm saying. Most.
I'm just gonna let you go.
Our Betty could be, very young. We don't know.
Anything else you'd like to add about,
Well, Yannick Sinner won the first set in the tie.
If I just let you go,
yeah,
on a particular thing,
depends on what it is. Depends on the day.
How long do you think we'd stay on air?
Plenty long.
Minutes,
days at least. I mean.
But
I've done solo shows before and we didn't get canceled.
Yeah.
Here we are.
You don't have anybody feeding you either, so I feel like
I feel like I think I always talk about taking responsibility. Like I might be the 99% here.
You want me to take a little bit of culpability?
But I do feel like you bring it out of me a little bit. So that's like your 1%. Right? I'm not saying you have to take the whole blame for it. It's mostly me, but
do you understand the significance of the move though?
Of 1890?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're clear. I think everybody needs to be clear. I am pro
crystal clear.
Yes. Crystal. I am pro. Speaking of amber.
Crystal light?
No. No.
You're always putting powders in your drink over there. What am I supposed to know?
That would be Spark. Do I strike you as a Crystal Light kind of guy?
I don't know.
Just not sure, are you?
Just never know with you. Just see you putting actual
maybe.
salt in your water sometimes. So I don't think anything's off the table.
Well, it keeps me from getting headaches. But sometimes being around you are unavoidable.
Listen, it's a different kind of headache.
Well, yes, it is.
I'm just. It's a big deal. I understand it's a big deal.
Just the outward, because I think this, especially now with the tax deduction portion, and with the seat licensing and whatever is going to happen with the seats at Memorial Stadium, you can clearly see the groundwork that's being laid with the initiative.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they've made it easier because now you get credit for what your like alumni loyalty points or whatever they call them.
Yeah,
which is a big deal.
That'd be a big deal. Like for my mom, that would be huge.
Yeah.
His house is paid. Like another write-off would be great.
Yeah, another tax deduction. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and instead of giving directly to the university, you can direct it towards 1890, which I think it's a bigger deal for. I don't know, because they're obviously working in conjunction, but it's really going to help 1890's funding more than anything.
Yeah.
Because it removes a couple barriers from people that are like, I kind of want to give my money directly to the university, or I'd like it to be tax deductible, or like there's some things that if you want to give money that you're looking for in terms of advantages of doing it, besides the actual cause you're donating.
And it would be nice, like if we could, because again, I've talked about, I think the slower or slow-ish response to supporting 1890 in the collective has more to do with philosophical, I think, state philosophical differences and kind of the ambiguity of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is fairly
straightforward.
Yeah.
And I do
like, you know what I mean? It's just clean.
I do think for certain people there is still some, I guess ambiguity is the right word for kind of what the collective is there for and what it does. And I think with guys being paid directly by the university, that might actually increase some of the confusion for people that aren't like in the nitty gritty about what the collective actually does.
Yeah.
But I think it will allow Coach Rule to kind of speak, and it's mostly going to be Coach Rule, if we're being honest here, directly to speak about the benefits of it and what it brings to the table for his program and the athletic department in general. And I think that's going to be important because like if Coach Rule says it, people are going to listen, right? So if he says like, hey, we have to support 1890, they're, officially part of the, a partner of the university now, like we have to support them if we want to have quality football. Like when Coach Rule says something like, hey, we need this in order to be competitive, people listen, right? So if he says, hey, we need you to support 1890 for us to continue to be competitive, people are going to listen. And I feel like with the official partnership, that's a little bit easier for him now to kind of speak that way about it.
The thing about the tax donations, and I think the other big part of it is, you're eligible to earn the athletic fund priority points. I think that's it seems like that's a bigger deal. Like, what am I getting back?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does this
benefit me?
Help me?
Yeah.
Because, strange but true. I mean, human nature is.
Yeah. What do I get out of this?
Yeah. Very few, and when you meet them, I mean, they're like fantastic people. When people give without expecting anything in return,
it's pretty rare.
And that's a special people category, right? Like I know a few of those guys, and it's a total blessing. But when you're talking about 98% of the general public, the clarity in which, so I get what if I do this?
Yeah,
because that's unfortunately the natural.
Well, especially with
inclination.
1890, because it's not even like a direct. Previously, there wasn't even necessarily like the direct correlation of like, okay, like if you're giving to the university, you'd be like, okay, if I give to the, the championship center fund or whatever they were calling it in the capital fund, the football facility, it's like, okay, my donation goes to build this. There was a tangible thing you could go there and see. Whereas with 1890 previously, and I think this is going to change as 1890 is going to have to, sort of shift how they do business, right? But it was like, okay, I'm giving money to 1890, and then it's not even that you don't necessarily get anything back, but you don't even directly see where it goes and what it does, right? Yeah. And that's, I think, harder for some people where it's like, hey, we need these funds to help retain and attract student athletes. And I get that, and you get that. But for a lot of people who aren't in it the way we are, you're writing a check to an organization, you're like, yeah, we're going to give this money to the players. And it's like, okay, but like which players? Do I get to direct that? Like there's no like, hey, if I write this check, it goes to either this person or this project or this thing. And I think having the tax deductibility, having the priority points, and having that partnership with Nebraska makes all of that a lot clearer for 1890, which I think is a huge benefit.
100%.
Coming up next, we will talk to Mike J. Schaefer of Husker 24/7 right here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, and we're brought to you by Durkin Designs. Anything that you need done in your yard, around the outside of your house, Durkin Designs has you covered. 402-779-4444 for paver patios, retaining walls, lighting, water features, maintenance, cleanups, whatever you need. Or you just need your dogs to leave the other dogs alone like DB. whatever you need.
Yeah.
Durkin Designs has you covered. I need a little cleanup. I need to give them a call. I
don't think that's like I don't know.
They do that. They do it all.
I know.
I wouldn't be fully using their expertise.
That's what I'm saying.
But they do it all. That's the great thing about it. You need something fancy. You need something kind of like middle of the road. You just need hey man, I need some little cleanup help.
Yeah.
They got you covered. 402-779-4444. That's Durkin Designs.
Your ass better call somebody.
And press 1.
Got to press 1.
I would press 1. That's how you get.
Betty says this Betty's old enough to be your mother. Thank you very much. All right. See, it's an older lady.
I like Betty.
Betty seems cool. She knows her stuff.
She's got Betty.
She knows about the barcodes.
Shane, what did Schaefer say?
He's on his way.
Yeah,
I'm on my way home, sweet home. No, all right, cool. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, so you sing all the time, and it's not a big deal. I sing one time, and you just stare at me. All right, cool. I see how it is.
I don't understand what you're laughing at, Shane.
It's a little double standard.
He's having a computer issue.
Call that hypocrisy.
Oh my gosh.
Hypocrisy. Thy name is DB.
How's your blood sugar?
It's a little high today. A little bit. Not bad, but
is there a direct correlation to sense and sensibility?
Not always. Sometimes my blood sugar is real high. I'm very irritable. I don't feel irritable today.
Yeah, I can't imagine you feel irritable.
If my blood sugar is real low, then I'm barely a functioning person.
Yeah,
so
you won again yesterday.
Who won again?
Boston.
Yeah, they were playing okay baseball. They're doing okay. They're doing all right. I'm trying to give you something good. I'm not getting my hopes up yet.
What else do you cheer for? Florida State's going to be good.
Yeah, I think Nebraska's going to be good. I like that. I don't know about Creighton. We'll see.
Do you think we realize how quick the season starts?
I don't know. It's coming up though.
Well, 2.5 weeks. They're in camp on the 28th.
I mean, first game starts not.
No.
2.5 weeks.
They're in camp on
2.5 weeks.
Yeah, July the 28th. I said, I'm sorry, July.
You can say it however you want.
Well, apparently I can't say coupon.
Well, that's because that's wrong.
All right, Monticello.
July is probably wrong. Also,
sophomore,
also wrong.
Athlete,
sophomore, also wrong.
We have Mike.
How many syllables are you trying to put in athlete?
Now, did I put that twang on there? Is that your attempt at ebonics?
No.
Say that again. How did I say it, Ravi?
Athlete.
I'm pretty sure that's not where the emphasis was on the syllables.
I don't know.
I see what you tried to do.
I don't
there.
say it wrong, so I struggle sometimes. What I do.
That is
what I do.
Okay, it's pretty coded. I see what you just did.
Do I need to go back to the M. Night conversation, or are we cool?
Let's. I'm gonna ask Schaefer and see what he says.
Mike J. Schaefer joining us from Husker 24/7. What's up, Schaefer?
I just want to quickly apologize for being late. If I hadn't been late, you guys wouldn't have had that conversation, and no one would have had to heard it. So that is my fault.
Wow.
So I just want the listeners to know that I accept full responsibility for what just transpired there.
This is incredible.
I want you to know I'm going to be better. We can only go up from here.
Dave, how do you pronounce athlete?
Athlete.
Thank you.
So the producer that makes movies, they kind of have weird twists. His initials, he goes by M. Night. M.
Shyamalan.
What's his last name?
Shyamalan.
Oh, darn it. Maybe it was kind of racist.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, somebody hit me. I don't know if it was you or Shane hit me with the Shyamalan. I'm a ding dong, which is definitely racist.
That was TK.
No, that was after. He was quoting you two.
Sorry, Schaefer. How was your week, man, considering you were smarter than most from about Tuesday on of last week?
The week was good, just enjoying what's supposed to be one of the quietest weeks of the year in college football coverage. The coaches are all away on vacation, enjoying some hard-earned free time. I'm just trying to get to the lake, and instead I'm on the phone half of Wednesday when I should be packing the car, tracking a story that wouldn't get released until Friday afternoon when I'm on a boat and I have one bar of service left. And that's when the news starts to break. But that's just how it works in this job. Yeah, the Evan Cooper thing, fascinating for a lot of different reasons. But
you were by far and away of anybody that I know ahead of the game. How did that happen?
Pete Thamel's ahead of the game, right? Like he's the one that put it out there.
Yeah. Your radar was pinging earlier than anyone ever.
You're only as good as your sources, and I've got pretty good sources, so that allows me to sometimes be able to chase things. But I still don't have a full picture of what happened. I don't think a lot of people have a full picture of what happened. We have the end result, right? Like I was trying to find out what was going on, who potentially was being interviewed, all of this before the news came out on Friday. And so, and I wasn't 100% sure if it was a situation where Evan Cooper was definitely gone or Nebraska was looking to add to its staff on the off chance that maybe they were going to make that decision later. There was just a lot of moving pieces in all of this. And, hopefully we get the opportunity to talk to Matt Rule and John Butler. And I don't know if we're ever going to clear anything up in that regard, but we certainly can learn some more information. But the end result is Nebraska has a different defensive backs coach. Nebraska, for the second year in a row, is replacing an assistant in the month of July. And Nebraska finds itself, with a completely different coach at a critical position ahead of a critical season. And I don't think any of that should be discounted. I mean, it's a big deal. And it seems, if we jump into the analysis of the change, it seems like Matt Rule came out of the whole thing with a coach that has a great resume and a great track record. It's just a question of how quickly can he, assimilate to that room or the room assimilate to him, I guess, because ultimately those guys have to go out and represent him and represent Nebraska. And no one's going to give you a pass because you changed your defensive backs coach in July. Like you're going to have to go play well. I mean, that's still the expectation.
Schaefer, was there any part of you that was sort of just wondering like, okay, we've got kind of an unlimited availability of coaches to coach on field now? Did you think they maybe were just going to get help for a room that's huge and has several different types of positions that need coach? Like, did it cross your mind that you're just like, maybe they're just getting help?
Yeah. I mean, so when you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, you certainly do some game theory of the different things that could be going on. I mean, my brain went anywhere from maybe they're moving Evan Cooper, a guy who self-professed wanted to be Mel Kiper Jr. at some point in his career. Maybe he's moving to a more, designed evaluation role because that's going to be kind of more of his future. There was a thought of mine that they were replacing the assistant defensive backs coach and they were putting somebody on staff that had a lot of coaching chops, that if Tony White were to leave, you're just sliding the pieces around in the next offseason. You don't have to go through the coaching changes. I've had multiple different people tell me that Matt Rule, one of the reasons he likes to promote from within is he doesn't want to hire coaches he's never worked with or seen work before. So if someone is going to get moved or elevated, that assistant defensive backs coach role would allow you to start them in a spot, see what they can do. And then if you have to change the pieces, if Tony White ends up taking a head coaching job, you have that option. And then, of course, there's also the option that something happened with Evan Cooper and Nebraska needs to make a move. Now, that's the hardest one to sort of understand because, again, today's July 9th. When I was deep into this, it was July 3rd. And then the news comes out on July 5th. So it's an unusual story. It's the sort of thing that seems like it only happens at Nebraska. Again, Matt Rule's been here for 2 years. He's had to replace 2 assistant coaches a month before the season starts. Like that's not normal stuff. That is unusual. And yet here we are. And so, Nebraska has made the most of it and they have to move forward. But I have a lot of questions, not so much about the defensive back stuff. And I'm sure you guys have talked about this, But Evan Cooper's real value to me, in a lot of ways, his fingerprints are all over this roster.
Yep.
There are a lot of guys that are on this Nebraska team that would not be on this Nebraska team. Not because Evan Cooper necessarily recruited them, but because he, you know, in the way that my brain films it, he's sitting in a dark room watching grainy film, poring over some other player and falling in love with a defensive back that keeps popping up on his screen. He's sitting in a room wondering why the hell no one else is offering Jalen Lloyd when he sees one of the fastest athletes on the field and a guy that could potentially play defensive back for him if he can convince Matt Rule that he shouldn't be a wide receiver. He didn't see a guy that shouldn't have gotten an offer. And now we're talking about Jalen Lloyd, or at least I'm talking about Jalen Lloyd, as a potential all Big Ten wide receiver at some point in his career. That's an Evan Cooper guy. I mean, Jeremiah Charles, Evan Cooper guy. Like go back to the defensive lineman last year. I cannot think of his name off the top of my head. He ended up with USC. Carlin Jones, Evan Cooper guy. He's watching Bryce Turner film. And the coach is like, I know you're infatuated with Bryce Turner. I want you to look at this defensive lineman. He's enamored with him immediately. Nebraska jumps in with an offer. Like he was such a big part of their evaluation staff. And Rule trusts him in such an implicit way that replacing that, I don't think they have that in their program right now. I don't know who the next guy is, but whoever that person is, they have some big shoes to fill. And we don't think about that on the outside of things because we're always talking about, you know, what it means for the cornerbacks. And is Tommy Hill going to have the same growth under John Butler that he showed under Evan Cooper? And can they get the safeties ready? But because recruiting inherently is my job, I'm over here thinking, okay, so who's the new architect of how they're putting this thing together? Because that was a hat that he wore, even if nobody really recognized it from the outside.
So I'm kind of looking at this the other way, or another way, from the outside looking in. I think this gives Nebraska an opportunity to kind of realign how they're doing things internally, not only from an evaluation standpoint and things of that nature that you're talking about, but also how to do business, right? Where something happens and there's a shift, and it's like, okay, how do we get better from this across the board? If you're looking for a glass half full and it's something outside of potentially hiring another quality defensive backs coach, maybe it's just Nebraska's infrastructure and how they do business as a whole. Maybe that tightens up, because when things like this happen, it really forces everybody to take some self-inventory across the board. Is that too deep, or you think that that's something that is on the table?
No, I think that's definitely on the table. In a weird way, you just made me think of, I'm going to reference a movie there's a chance that neither of you have seen, but there was some film scenes in Omaha, Up in the Air. Are you familiar with this George Clooney movie, either one of you?
Not. Yeah, it's the one where they're firing everybody. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has this whole spiel where he'll, after, he's letting someone know he's firing them, but then he's telling them many people have sat in your chair and they've went on to do better things, because instead of looking at this as the end of something, you should look at it as the beginning of an opportunity for you to do something different. And so, if you want to use that for Nebraska, moving on from Evan Cooper and what that means for the recruiting aspect, it's an opportunity for them to align differently. It's an opportunity for them to put their recruiting operation in a different manner, or for Matt Rule to do self-inventory and to decide, okay, we've had to make some real changes. It's not just Evan Cooper that's gone. They've made changes in their personnel department going all the way back to the offseason. So they have an opportunity here to reshift how they want to do things. And there's no reason why they can't be better for it. I certainly wouldn't make an argument against that, but they're going to have to shift something, because the way they were doing things and the reliance that they had on Evan Cooper, that's now gone. And so who stepped into that role, or how many people step into that role, or how Matt Rule chooses to divvy up those roles are going to be really interesting. And that's sort of what I want to hear from him when we get the opportunity to talk to him about this decision.
Schaefer, do you think at all when you heard the staffers talk, the recruiting staffers specifically, does that kind of ease your concern at all, where they talk about having the best database in the country and and all the groundwork they do. Obviously, Evan Cooper had an eye for seeing those types of things, but do you think it seems like they really tried to put a infrastructure in place for other people with talent evaluation skills to be able to succeed in that environment and not have it be so heavily dependent on one guy's eye?
Yeah, and I don't want to make it seem like it was just Evan Cooper who was saying yay or nay on everybody, but I do believe that he was watching film of every person in Nebraska's class, whether it was his position or not. It does and it doesn't. I mean, it's sort of the same thing I've heard from every recruiting staff that sat in those spots under a different head coach. I mean, I know Nebraska under Scott Frost felt very strongly that they were building one of the best social media databases ever assembled, that they had inputs in place that could find red flags of certain social media posts and they could learn more about players that way. Everybody has their thing, or everybody sort of has their idea of how this can work. And I have no doubt that Matt Rule has some unique ideas for what they can do and what the recruiting staff can do. Ultimately, it just comes down to, it's not so much who they have back there, it's does he trust them? Like that's kind of the big loss in all of this. He's trusted Evan Cooper implicitly. This is a guy that is from the outside looking in, a pretty extreme micromanager. And so when he gives Evan Cooper these roles and he trusts and values that opinion, it's not just like he's going to find one or two people to replace that. They're going to have to earn that level of trust. He's going to have to still be able to divvy up and give this work out because he can't do it all himself. It's just whether he's going to be able to trust him to continue to do more and more and more. He's going to ask him to do more, but are the results going to be good? That's what you're waiting to see.
Yeah, I'm just, the more I'm listening, I it's kind of what I thought over the weekend. And Coach Rule himself said, okay, how do we get better and grow from this? I think if they take that question, which is a real one, and he's trying to figure it out, it just puts everybody on high alert. And I mean everybody, right? Support staff, coaches. If this can happen to somebody that's as close to Coach Rule as Cooper is, and he's clearly has a unique relationship with Coach Rule, especially given the autonomy, I think this is the perfect opportunity to dial in and button it up across the board for the staff. If it's me, I look at this as a way for everyone to get better and dial in. And Schaefer, I actually like the fact that it is so close to the season. It's almost like a scare tactic. They're on such a limited time crunch. It's like, oh shoot, we better get our butts in gear, right? Like that's kind of how I'm looking at it from the 30,000 foot view. If I want to really make this a thing that we can learn from on the 3,000 foot view, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that plays into the idea never waste a crisis, right? Like you have something happen and you can either grow together and band together and work harder and overcome it, or you can allow it to spiral. And I don't think Matt Rule is going to allow this to spiral. I don't think this is the sort of thing that can derail their season, or it shouldn't be the sort of thing that can derail their season. It's just a shift in the staff that Matt Rule has put together, and now we're going to see how that plays out. Again, I think in John Butler, they hired a defensive backs coach who had a better resume than Evan Cooper when he came here, just from a coaching standpoint. And so I think I don't know that there's going to be a loss in that defensive backs room as to who's teaching and developing these guys. I think the bigger loss is more so what it means for their recruiting operation and how quickly they can shift gears in that regard. It doesn't have to be a loss at all, but I just know that he had a lot of value in there.
Schaefer, as you kind of look at John Butler, and you mentioned his resume, how much do you think, if at all, factored into him ending up being the choice, the fact that he may be a easy candidate to replace Tony White when Tony White eventually leaves?
I think it's a big part of it. I mean, I think that Evan Cooper was the guy that was going to replace Tony White if that was what ultimately happened. And so I think, you find yourself in a situation where you're hiring a coach in early July and you have a guy with this extensive resume, and you also know in the back of your head, hey, if this season goes how we think it can, how we want it to, Tony White's not going to be here. And that's not a bad thing. That means that you've done well, he's done well, and he's moved on. He's growing in his career. But you should also be ready for that. And having a guy like John Butler allows you to be ready for that. And as I said before, it gives Matt Rule the opportunity to work with him and to see, like, okay, is this someone that I think I can work with, that I would want to be one of my top lieutenants, that I can elevate in this role? And you might get to next December and decide, you know what? Maybe it's somebody else on staff. Maybe we do have to go out, and maybe I have to find someone that's worked for me in the past. Maybe John Butler isn't going to love being at Nebraska. There's too many unknowns. But right now, on July 9th, I think they've done a really nice job in replacing in a weird situation, replacing and then potentially setting themselves up well.
Hey, Schaefer, only a couple minutes left, but how many people do you think know or have in your sphere of influence have talked about Sean Hammerbeck committing a couple of days before the holiday? And it's almost like, I don't even know if anybody's talked about him yet.
I don't know if they have either. I like to call him offensive Nash Hutmacher. I mean, that's basically what I'm seeing here. We got small town South Dakota, great athlete, unique last name, also starts with an H. So that's maybe where the comparison's in. But no, he's a freak lineman that's from South Dakota in an area that's going to be lightly recruited, but there's Paul Bunyan-esque tales about what this guy can do.
Where
he's a
is
great
where?
It's north of Valentine, basically.
Huh. Okay.
That's what I learned. Now, how far north? I can't tell. It's not far from the Nebraska border, but it's just north of Valentine, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Which is
somewhere between here and Canada. That's all I know.
That's accurate. That is accurate.
But yeah, this is wiggle room.
This is another good offensive line pickup. I mean, we went from some real social media hand wringing about 2.5-3 weeks ago about where this offensive line class was to now they've got a guy in Sean Hammerbeck that I think people are pretty excited about. They have a guy in Houston Kahina Torres who I think people should be really excited about. They have Brian Tapu, who flipped from Oregon State, and I think Nebraska is intrigued by what he could be as a development guy. They're in the mix for David Sanders Jr., made the top 4 there, and they're not just a hat on the table. Like, I think there's a real opportunity here. Now, can they jump past Tennessee and Ohio State? We'll see. But it's a fascinating time for offensive line recruiting when just 2.5 weeks ago, there was a lot of, why can't they get any offensive linemen? Well, now they've got 3 and potential for a really, really big 4th.
So the sky may not be falling. Mike J. Schaefer, you heard it here first. Schaefer,
direct quote.
Yeah, nothing says pie in the sky like Mike Schaefer, right? I mean,
the eternal optimist, Mike J. Schaefer.
Absolutely.
24/7. Thank you, Schaefer.
Thanks, Schaefer.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. And if you're driving to work somewhere, driving anywhere, maybe going to get some breakfast this morning, make sure your hands on the wheel, eyes, and focus straight ahead. As the driver, you've got one job to do. That's to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Kind of with you on the opportunity to not waste the crisis. And Coach Rule said that, right?
To be fair, that was Schaefer. I didn't say that. That was Schaefer.
Oh, well, what Schaefer said.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Mike. J.
Well, listen, I just didn't want to take credit for something that wasn't me.
This time.
I never take credit for stuff that isn't me.
Now,
if I will take credit for stuff that is me.
I just, you know, and I think this was kind of a crisis moment. I mean, clearly,
yeah.
If you're announcing a resignation and hiring somebody the next day, whatever was fairly ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you're working quickly.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, and you know that relationship, I mean, I think people know Coach Rule's affinity for Coach Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
And we just heard Schaefer, which has got me started on this whole thing, is when things like this happen, I think to me, it signifies if that can happen to him, it can happen to anyone. tighten it up.
Well,
recalibrate, refocus, understand what we are. Because I go back to something Coach Rule said, the other day, and I've talked about. I mean, it's because I've seen what this place can do. I had this conversation with Caleb before he left. There's just something about the reverence and how people gravitate towards, and like you have to understand like where you are, and it's not for everybody. I said this about previous regimes. If you come with certain foibles,
it's really easy to get distracted.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get distracted. So just use it as an opportunity, just to get better, to grow across the front, to come closer knit as a whole group. Look out for one another, hold each other accountable, and understand you got a job to do.
Well, and there's, you said something about, if this can happen to Cooper, it can happen to anybody. And it just goes to this thing I've been thinking about of how Coach Rule always talks about the standard is the standard, right? The standard is the standard. It's not, hey, the standard's this if you're a recruiting staffer, and it's this if you're a position coach, and it's this if you're a offensive coordinator, and it's this if you're the head coach. Like, the standard is the standard, right? Doesn't matter if you're a walk-on, bench guy, starter, All-American, or 5-star quarterback recruit coming in, right? The standard is the standard. And I think there is, however you feel about Evan Cooper, and from everybody that I've talked to, I don't really know anybody that had anything bad to say about him. Like, he could be a little gruff sometimes, like he was a little rough around the edges. But I think mostly people thought it was coming from a good place, and that he was just kind of, in terms of his work, that he was well thought of, right? And obviously with his relationship with Coach Rule, that was a very strong relationship. So but that's where accountability matters the most, right?
Yeah, and I had this conversation, part of the 227,000 things that Ryan and I were talking about on Saturday. When he stopped by to check on me, he just, at 34 years of age, $800,000 in the world at your feet. I don't know, what I would do. I do know that maturation and learning experiences they go together. Right? It's just hard to be plopped into some place, a unique experience. And I don't care where it is. Like, I remember being when my boss, and I relate this to me, and maybe it's the reason why I'm constantly giving away things that I don't have, right? Or, there's been opportunities that have presented themselves, and I'm like, gosh, the money would be great. But there's this part of me that's like, I'm significantly smarter now. I'm much more grounded. I don't go anywhere. But there's this part of me that goes back to having too much too fast at too young of an age. Right? So while I know I'm in a much better spot, and I'm totally peeling back the curtains for no reason except to give perspective. So I'm going to throw myself under the bus here. And it's hard, right? Because there are some things that I would love to get back, but there are a lot of things that I grew from. So when you've never had much, or you have some and you get much more, and it's very carefree, life is good.
It can get away from you.
It can get away from you. And that's why I talk about this. I've talked about this for years. The worst thing people could do to somebody they care about is to completely turn them over to themselves. Be cognizant.
Yeah.
And take care of one another, because it's just human nature is human nature. So I'm very scared to have a lot of money. I would love to. I'd love to just be able to say, hey, I want to send you here, or I want to do, and believe me, right? Especially now when it seems tougher than ever. I have these conversations with myself, but there's also this part of me where being in this season of my life, maybe it's actually good for me so I can be good in some other areas, be cognizant or more appreciative of what other people are doing, or however it works for that particular individual as I try to, you know what I mean, hang in there here. But not everything is for everybody. And listen to me, what's for you is for you. What's for someone else is for someone else. Stay present in that. Right. And I'm just hoping that folks take the opportunity to really take some inventory. How do we not let things like this happen again? How do we keep ourselves out of this position? I go back to what Coach Rule said, and it was his own words. All right, we're in scramble mode. How can we get better? Do it. Do it.
And it you bring up, how can we not do this again? And I think it goes back to what we saw take place here, and kind of what I was saying about, like, the accountability doesn't really matter until you have to hold somebody accountable that you care about, right? Really easy to hold people accountable you don't like. Right? To be like, if I don't like, somebody that comes out at me and then they do something wrong, it's like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's going on here? Right? Like when I was coaching, really good example, right? Is kids I didn't like that much, it's really easy to hold them accountable. Like, hey, do it right. That's not what I told you to do. Go do it right. Really easy to hold them accountable. But like my guy Jake that played for me, a little bit harder to hold him accountable, especially as the relationship grew. And it's like, it was a little bit like we were friends, but I was his coach and whatever. Like there was kind of that last year or so there where him and I were pretty good friends already. And it was challenging to be like, to try and hold him accountable in a way that I would hold guys accountable that I didn't like. Right. So, I'm not saying
it's like coaching your best player.
Yeah. Right. It's like, do I really want to go after him because I need him to stay locked in, and it's really easy to give him special treatment or whatever. But the guy that's a walk-on, it's really easy to wear the walk-on out, right? It's really easy to wear the guy out that's not playing at all, because like you know that, it's he's not helping me anyway. So if he gets checked out, not a big deal, right? It's really hard when it's somebody that matters to you, whether it's because they're your best player or you're a friend or you've got a long-standing relationship there, or you just like them better than other people. Like, we're humans. We like some people better than others. That's how it goes. It's okay. Like, as long as you're not like, but that's where it matters is, and that's how you keep it from happening again, is if you're holding the people accountable that you care about, then that standard is set in stone. It's not this wishy-washy. It's like, well, if you're his boy, you can get away with this. And if you're not in the inner circle, you might be in some trouble. Like, the standard's the standard. Inner circle, outer circle, no circle, whatever. If you don't hold up the standard, you're not going to be around.
Yeah, like I said, this was the landing the plane for Schaefer. Is use this as a teachable moment to grow.
To grow, to establish what it is they're about here at Nebraska. Coming up next, we'll wrap up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
Touch my stuff.
And Lincoln. That's mine.
I'm 3 now.
No, I'm 4. I touched 4. Relax.
Shane, you need to rewire these. Or do I have to call Sasha for that too?
Relax.
It changes on a daily basis. If there's something else that was here, somebody set it up beforehand. So,
Shane, you're the best. I can't wait to watch this debacle in Indianapolis.
You good? You want me to change yours?
No, don't touch my stuff.
You want me to?
Apparently, so my man Thrill, or Will, in my head, sometimes I call him Thrill.
Mm-hmm.
Will the Thrill. Not like the natural, because I don't think I would have enjoyed playing with him.
Like Will Clark?
Yeah. Sweet swinging, but people tell some wild stories about Will Clark. But anyway, he says both his cousins. Do we know somebody that knows somebody everywhere? Is that how?
Somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. No?
So did they call Will Clark the natural? I mean, I'm just wondering.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I always think when I think of the natural, I think of Robert Redford. Sorry.
Well, most people do, Shane.
Yeah.
You're not standing alone on that one.
I am standing about 5 foot. Thank you.
I feel like you snapping at him unnecessarily. Is it funny when it happens to me?
It
It's so
is.
cute.
You get it.
I'll stab you right in your beard with this pin.
Well,
Good luck.
I know there's a lot to get through.
Fork, I'll fight you.
Which is weird, but I'm not going to get into
I had a little food this morning before you got here.
Okay.
What?
To go, that's cute.
I had some leftover breakfast from the other day. What do you want from me?
From the other day?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
What was it?
It was French toast and some bacon.
You ate a couple of day old French toast and bacon?
Yeah.
This place doesn't have a microwave.
I heated up before I left, and then I turned my heat seater on. Keep it warm.
Okay.
What?
So
never do that? I use the heat.
Nothing more convenient than you thought you could do?
No, it wasn't super.
I mean, good on you for waste not wanting that.
It wasn't super convenient. It was a pain, and I don't like doing it. But it was one of those situations where I was like, okay, I probably need to eat this soon, or I'm not going to be able to eat it. And I didn't really. There was nothing that sounded good on the way
That
in.
is incredible. You ate 2-day-old French toast and bacon. You microwaved it before you left. You drive 19 minutes to get here, and your answer to keep it warm was to turn your seat warmer on.
It's not 19 minutes for me to get here.
That's ingenious.
It's 12.
Wow, speed racer. Anyway, Will says both his cousins. I'm floored at that, but anyway,
It's not. I
next time
feel
grab
like
a bar.
I feel like you're hung up on the couple days old.
No, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I had some corned beef from 3 weeks ago. I ate the last 2 slices yesterday.
Yeah, like I don't think it's a big deal. It's fine.
It's fine. He says both his cousins played USD and SDSU. He said the winner is always good in high school football, which is where Hammerbeck is from. And nobody ever talked about it because I think he committed on the 3rd of July.
I think that's right.
And then the 4th happened, and then the 5th happened, and then the
6th
weekend happened, right? So it was like I think
he committed on the 3rd.
I think that flew under the radar.
It did. He's 6'6", 260. So we got that frame to fill out a little bit.
Yeah,
good athlete.
And I like, I kind of like Schaef's. He's better than a lot in terms of his forecasting and what he likes.
Yeah.
And I think he's better with interior people than most.
Oh, okay.
Because
that's fair.
It's hard.
No, it's really hard.
Right?
I mostly have no idea. The only thing I go on is, so I'll kind of guess on frame a little bit, and then I usually
you're a footwork guy.
Yes, it's feet.
Yeah.
So this is a weird one, but like if I see a guy play basketball, then I have a pretty good idea how they move. Right.
Yeah,
and
it reminds me a lot of Vers. He's a huge feet guy.
Sure. Yeah.
And slow feet don't eat her. We'll just go on.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes I'll talk about punch or hand. Oh, no, man. Feet. And that's fine. Like, I get it. Like it clearly matters. But Schaefer all in on Hammerbeck. I just thought it was interesting that it flew under the radar, and there was so much hand wringing about offensive line play and recruiting, but we only have so much bandwidth,
and all of a sudden,
as media and fan base of what we can take in terms of
got three
information in July.
Got 3 pretty good guys in the course of like a week, basically.
Yeah,
and
it's been overshadowed.
And now you've still got David Sanders, the monster, out there that Schaefer says there's a real opportunity with, which is what we believed also.
Yeah, I'm glad Schaefer said it because
some
of us have been out on that Gilligan Island for a while. I still think the key is. If they come back on the 27th, again, I said this yesterday.
You feel good.
All bets are off. That's the key.
Mm-hmm. They can get him back one more time.
Yeah, because you're 20 days out from August 17th, and their season will almost be. They'll be ready to go where he is, and he wants that done.
Yeah.
So that's you have a 5-star out there still dangling, and you have a 4-star, which for whatever the reason people have forgotten about Christian Jones, but that may not come until the season starts. And it's funny too. People think he's going to get squeezed.
Yeah.
He's willing to live with that.
Take that chance.
Oh yeah.
Amazing Daniel had a question on Twitter
is it a good one or is it a Daniel thing?
I think it's a good question.
Are you sure you're going to inflate his?
No, I think it's a good question.
Okay.
I mean, he's wrong a lot, like you. I think that's why you guys get along. But
it's a Steelers thing.
Yeah,
and that's a long hair thing.
That makes sense.
We both have a thing for.
Yeah, you both have long hair.
Well, he does.
Oh.
He wears sunglasses inside too.
His question goes: how much game day coaching, or what type of game day coaching, does a position coach like Cooper or like
a lot
actually do?
A lot,
because he says, in my head, I see them more impactful in camp or practice, but he has no real basis for that.
No, you go see your position coach.
Okay, so what Like
So
for a defensive back coach, like what does that look like?
that means, hey, what are you saying? What's the route concept? Hey, what about your leverage here? Hey, it's 3rd and 6.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sticks route. Like if you're in bail, don't give ground or whatever, right? So let's see. As a guy that coordinates for us, sometimes I'll talk to everybody. Sometimes I'll only talk to my guys. Sometimes I won't talk to anybody, right? Like sometimes I'll never say anything to the inside linebackers. I can, but I don't. They have an inside linebackers coach. So if Coach Jensen wants to relay something down to me, he's going to say, hey, DB, put your mic up, because sometimes I leave it down and you can hear everything I say, and it drives him crazy. But he'll say, hey, can you tell such and such and such and such this, right? I may not catch it. Or Coach Queen, I'll say, hey, Coach Queen, do you have the D-line over by you? Yeah, what's up? And he'll do his thing. So it's huge. I don't if our corners are doing something, that's Coach Forsyth's world. If it's safeties, that's Queen's world, right? Like I'll do the outside. So it's critical. And watch, I don't know how much you can see on television, but watch where position guys go when they come back to the bench. It's always their position coach.
Yeah, they go meet in their little group.
Yep. It's a lot
in game,
and that may be a nice little. I'm not going to say upgrade because I don't know yet, but he does seem to have, by he I mean Coach Butler, tremendous command of concepts.
And that's, I think, the argument you could make is as like actually coaching the position, right? We talked about all the other stuff with, either personality or talent eval or whatever. I think you can make an argument that actually coaching the position, they may have gotten better.
Yeah, but both NFL guys.
Yes.
Right.
Butler for quite a bit longer than Cooper,
right.
But yeah.
So I don't want to get into,
No, but like Schaefer said, Butler has a better resume than Cooper does.
Yeah, he does.
Right. Like that's just
that is the reality of it.
And that's not to say that Cooper's like, we're not just be like, oh, he's gone now, he's not any good. Like
the real key to teaching though is meeting people right where they're at.
Yeah.
So that's the part.
That's the
where we don't.
That's the variable we don't.
That's
know.
what you can't say.
Right.
You can't make a direct, definitive
statement. Because like in game, coordinators are too focused on actually like calling the game, right?
So there's a reason I don't signal in our plays.
Okay.
Coach Queen will tell Coach Forsyth because we play to each other's strengths, right? Coach Queen is very good at some things. Coach Forsyth has DBs, which is not easy, but it is the least amount to see. I get to be the guy that talks with Coach Queen. This is like the in-game sausage is made about formation, like splits, things that I'm recognizing or just memorizing play formations. Right? Hey, 2x2, 19's in motion. Hey, check inside zone. So then it's inside zone, inside. What I don't want to do is be getting signals from Coach Queen to relay in, because that you're not playing to my strengths.
Right.
So I can talk to, he can say, hey, we pressure here, DB, inside, outside. Hey, let's go with double this, something, maybe third down. Okay, cool. All the while, I don't have to worry about signaling that in. We have a guy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes on if you want to be a staff that can adjust on the fly.
Right.
And I think that's, not the humble brag. That's actually probably our biggest strength. You can get us once or twice on something.
Yeah.
It's not going to keep happening unless you're just clearly better, and that happens sometimes.
Sure, yeah. But that's why like a coordinator, because they are doing all of those things, probably can't be as involved with individuals in game.
Although they can see something, right? Coordinators a lot of times know, like if a play busts and it hits C gap and you haul a certain stunt, like he'll know. So he can say, hey, Bullock, what'd you see there? But that's why some coordinators like to be upstairs
so they can see.
So they can see, because they'll know immediately.
Right.
Or if you have a really good feel and you're good face to face, they may prefer to be on the field.
That's the show for today on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Catch us again tomorrow. We'll be back.
you. Have a good day. Love you.